got no home. Wander streets, he's all alone. Finds a place by Sturgis's side. In a world, no place to hide. Sturgis smiles with big bright eyes. Ginger cup, he tells no lies. Ball washers clean in every scene. They ain't fancy, but they're keen. Ball washers, every night they come alive. Ball washers, in the dark they truly thrive. Ball washers, cleanse the world and take the grime. Living life one wash at a time. Homeless Larry finds his place. All the crime they do erase. Sturgis talks with tales so grand. Ginger cup, he understands. Streetlights glow, they feel the beat. Ball washers group with hustle's heat. Homeless Larry laughs so loud. In their group they feel so proud. Ball washers, every night they come alive. Ball washers, in the dark they truly thrive. Cleanse the world and take the crime. Ball washers, living life one wash at a time. Homeless Larry got no home. Wander streets, he's all alone. Finds a place by Sturgis's side. In a world, no place to hide. Sturgis smiles with big bright eyes. Ginger cup, he tells no lies. Ball washers clean in every scene. They ain't fancy, but they're keen. Ball washers, every night they come alive. Ball washers, in the dark they truly thrive. Ball washers, cleanse the world and take the grime. Ball washers, living life one wash at a time. Larry got no home. On the street, he's all alone.
What's up, meatbags? It is the chosen one of CG, the Chicano Stan Lee, the one, the only Frog Tony. And I'm here with the Wizard of Wordplay and our special guest, Bosch Fawstin. And I just made an Eisner Award nominee listen to a song about ball washers. Guys, can it get any crazier than this? What's up, Bosch?
Hilarious.
So we got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about Bosch's career, his life, his love, what he likes to do on the weekend, long walks on the beach. Who knows? Maybe his horoscope. We're going to get deep into this. But we also going to do some detracting afterwards. So, guys, we got the best of both worlds. Plus, if you want to get me drunk, and maybe, you give us enough money, Bosch will start drawing Muhammad. Who knows? We'll do anything goes. It's a random type thing. But thank you again, Bosch, for coming. I know I'm a little over enthusiastic.
No, thanks for having me. Appreciate it, guys. I really do. Thank you.
I keep the energy up like a leopard. Everyone's giving me shit because I have a leopard's print blanket. Ladies love that. I'm sorry if I'm a real man. who likes to put the leopard skin blanket down, get the ladies all hot and bothered.
It stays on the bed during sex.
Yeah. So, Mr. Bosch, where would you like to begin with your story? Where did I know you got a Wikipedia article, which is I think you're the first person that's been on this show that's has a Wikipedia page.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm a cartoonist, write and draw comics. I've been doing that for the last 20 years. I published my first. Hey, Katie, and nice to see you here. I published my first graphic novel, Table for One. Takes place in a underground restaurant in Manhattan in one night. Anything that can happen does happen. I got into comics when I was very, very young in the Bronx, New York, and was raised by Muslim Albanian parents. Got into comics, and I just fell in love with the stories. I'll go back to my, I guess, youth and how I fell in love with comics, and just loved it. The superheroes and the stories and the colors and everything. Just the art. I couldn't distinguish who was better or not, but I just read them, just devoured them. And then I think in a certain point, I got into superhero comics because I think I was into Star Wars comics for a little while. I was exclusively for some reason. And then I got into the superhero comics. I think Secret Wars, the original one with Jim Shooter, and got into those. I love that. I don't know how it's regarded today, but I love it. I still love it today. I thought it was a great superhero story. Jim Shooter really took Doctor Doom, and just took him to.
Elevated him.
I mean, he really, really did. He made him into this, into what he was always. His potential. He just basically explored it, and I don't want to tell anyone if you haven't read it, but what he does in there, it's just pretty wild. It's pretty wild, and it was a great story. And then I got into liking certain artists, John Byrne on the Fantastic Four, on the X-Men, Frank Miller in particular. Loved his storytelling more than anything else, more than his art, his storytelling. And by storytelling, I mean the writing, of course, but the way he designed the story, the way he told it in panels and
the structure and everything.
Everything about it. And he also busted his ass in the art department when he was younger. He really worked overtime because he wasn't a natural, I think, artist like some of the other guys. I'm sorry, you were saying.
I'll say I don't want to interrupt you, but we did get a super chat from Red saying she bought him Legos, guys.
It did happen.
Crazy. So it's funny that you mentioned Secret Wars because I was actually talking about Secret Wars with my dad the other day because I was telling him how stupid it was. I love the Hulk. The Hulk is my favorite character.
Oh, Hulk's great.
I was like, but it's impossible.
Yeah, the Jack Kirby Hulk to me is the Hulk. Those first 5 issues that he drew, and then Ditko drew the 6th one. He was a nasty, thug, and I love that. And he wasn't dumb. He wasn't saying Hulk smash. He was actually a guy roasting people, beating them up. He was really great.
Yeah. But in that Secret War, when he catches the mountain, I was like, my dad was like, there's no way. I was like, that's not, it wouldn't be possible. I'm like, the sides would break off. We were arguing whether or not the sides.
He leveraged it a certain way, Yeah. He was able to at least get angrier, and Reed Richards was pissing him off, if you remember. Yeah. To make sure he was angry enough to at least balance it off their bodies. I mean, that entire series again, and they're gonna make a movie, and the saving grace about the guys doing the movie, the Russo brothers, that they loved that particular version of the Secret Wars because there was another one came out years later. To be honest, I read it. I don't remember too much about it. I just don't. The iconography of that first one, from from Doom taking the Beyonder, and from Spider-Man getting the suit, and from Thor getting his ass kicked by those guys and just disappearing, thinking that they died. From, as you mentioned, the Hulk. And then you got that iconic cover that Mike Zeck and Terry Austin inked, that Mike Zeck penciled, of Doom, beaten and bloody, and I mean the detail in there was just. I mean, as a kid, I just loved it, absolutely loved it. But yeah, so sorry.
All right, real quick, I gotta give Red what he came for. Since Katie's in the chat, we'll give you a little special one.
Sure. You're my property now, brown boy.
Katie. All right, so it's $13 to the next shot. So like I said, my favorite character was the Hulk. What was your favorite character growing up, Bosch? Who was the guy that
I guess Spider-Man. I mean, Spider-Man probably, if I think back, Why I can't say. The design, the suit, the difference from everyone else. Everyone had a half mask or no mask. He was completely covered. He was thin. He was he had more like a Bruce Lee body. He wasn't a super built. He wasn't super. And something about the character just on a visual level that I loved. And then you find out, later on that he was co-created by Steve Ditko, who I share the same philosophy with, objectivism, Ayn Rand's philosophy. And that was that was something else. And I corresponded with Ditko over the years as well. He was never willing to, never willing to give public praise for anyone. He said it's an appeal to authority. And I said, well, if you like it, is that an appeal to authority for you to say so? I think I did disagree with him on that, because if I like something, I'm definitely going to go out there and tout it, whoever does it. But yeah, he was something about Spider-Man. And if you look back at those issues, the way he designed it was a brilliant design, right? Absolutely brilliant. The way the eyes went and the webs wrapping around the body. And it was dark blue at that point. It was black and red, not just the open blue. And then you got John Romita Sr., who came in right after Ditko and perfected what Ditko made. Because if you remember the way he designed, the way Romita took that established suit and then made more sense about it. It was more symmetrical. Like it was the lines on the face. If you look at it, people didn't really catch it, but he makes like a line across the nose, a line across the mouth on the webbing, so it looks like there's a human face on there. It's not obvious, but once you see it, the new movies have that Romita look on it. It's just there's something about he took what was brilliant and just perfected it, which is extraordinary. So yeah, I love the character. Those first 38 issues that Ditko and Lee did, that to me, that's the Spider-Man comic book. And then you have, to me, the second best was the Roger Stern, John Romita Jr. Issues in the 80s. And as I mentioned last night on my stream, there was a different inker for every single issue over John Romita Jr., so there wasn't a consistency there. But man, there was something about the way Romita took his father's design and even pushed it a little further. He stylized it a little more. He gave him like bigger feet, longer legs. He looked a little more, I guess, built the way he designed his musculature. And yeah, so as I was saying about Frank Miller, it was his work, I think, that really hit home the idea that I wanted to write and draw comics, because the other guys were doing it, but he was doing it in a way where his writing was just better than his peers. I mean, when he wrote Daredevil, it was just better than the ones that Byrne was doing on the FF, and I love Byrne's FF. Just reread them recently, actually, the Kirby FF and the Byrne FF. But something about
I like the Byrne She-Hulk.
Don't
give me shit about that.
No, that was definitely good. I mean, Byrne's an all-time great. Whatever he is, he's a curmudgeon and all that. Who gives a shit? The guy's an all-time great. Those X-Men comics he did, they stand the test time. Him and Austin at their peak of their powers, and then the FF. I thought those are great. His Superman, I think, was hit and miss at times. DeFalco Friends, love that too. Oh yeah, I definitely enjoy those. But yeah, but to me, it's the Lee Ditko and then the Stern Romita Jr. That's the 1-2 punch for me. I got the hardcovers of those as well. But yeah, Friends was great, and DeFalco did a good job to follow up on Stern. But Miller was the guy. He was the guy who took a little further. The maturity of his stories. Daredevil Born Again, for instance, to me, I think that's a singular best writing that he ever did. Mazzucchelli drawing it. Mazzucchelli was, he got better and better with each issue of that series. He changed his style within that series as well. If you read those comics, I imagine you guys did.
Yeah, I'm like Dickinson Post here. He says, Lamau, I've read a ton of these, and these names are almost all noise. I'm so bad at names. I'm the same way. I've read a ton of comics, but like names and like who wrote them or who drew it, like.
But Miller was just he was so good, and then he did the Daredevil, he came back, and then he did Dark Knight Returns, which is a great comic. It deserves all the accolades it gets, regardless of some things. Well, it's not as good art as this and that. Doesn't matter. I think the story holds up. The way he told the story, the way he expanded the mythos of Batman, and took it to the point where he meets up with Superman at the end. It makes sense, within that story. So yeah, Miller was a huge influence, and I love this stuff. And I got an opportunity to meet him actually a number of years ago, and it didn't go too well. He looked a little sickly. He really didn't. He was sickly. He looked like he had no hair. I don't know if he was going through chemo or something, but he looked really thin. But I saw him. He went to a bar, and it was at the San Diego Comic-Con at one of those after party places. I saw him, so I went right up to him and I spoke to him 5-10 minutes, and he wasn't quite there. Whether he took exception to the fact that we're the only two guys who took on jihad in the comic books, which is true. Me and him were the only guys who actually took it on, even though I do think that he went half-assed about it. He didn't take on the ideology. He just took on the concrete enemy, Al-Qaeda, whereas I take on Islam, jihad. I take on the entire culture. I take on the Islamization of the West. I take on everything. I take on those who help them, those who help the Islamic enemy, whether left or right. And that's what my story, comes from. And it was after 9/11. That's the guy.
I actually thought that too, Red. I'm glad you said it, so I didn't have to be the one to say it. But why does Bosch look like Shooter McGavin?
I guess I look like him. I don't know. I guess that's why. But yeah, so loved comics as a kid. Miller was the main, I think, influence. And then I got into Alex Toth, who's, to me, the master. He's the greatest comic book artist ever. He took it further than the others. His whole thing was about focusing on getting to the truth, to the core of the visuals. And he regretted not learning how to write when he was younger, so he didn't really write. He was at the mercy of relatively mediocre writers over the years until he did his own comic book, as a lot of those artists were. I mean, you got these all-time greats making these comics that are pretty forgettable in a lot of ways, but he always lifted the stories, whatever they were. He always made them better because of the way he told the story. And Romita was influenced by him. He was influenced by Noel Sickles, by Milton Caniff, those old comic strip artists, those great comic strip artists. So yeah, it was. I mean, if I were to whittle it down to two main influences, Alex Toth and Frank Miller, those are the two big ones. John Romita Jr. loved him as well. Romita, Ditko, Kirby, all those guys. But yeah, so it was after 9/11. I had left Islam in my mid-teens, and I forgot about it, left it behind me, and I wanted to be a cartoonist. I started. I was going to the School of Visual Arts in Manhattan, taking some night classes here and there every so often whenever they had them. I went to take a class at the Joe Kubert School, and it was a summer class, and I was learning how to tell stories. Thanks, Bob. I was learning how to tell stories, and in the middle of my graphic novel, Table for One, 9/11 happens as I'm working on it, and it shook me to my core. I think anyone who loved America, anyone who loved freedom, it was just impossible what we were actually observing, what we witnessed that day.
It was crazy. I saw that. I woke up to go to college, and I'm like, I saw it happen. I'm like, because I'm still living at home at the time. I'm like, Mom, they just crashed a plane in the building. She's like, shut up, no, I'm like, I'm watching the news, and she came over and she's like, oh my fucking God, it was crazy. And I never heard my mom swear. She's not a swearer.
No,
but she swore that day.
Yeah, it was something that is not supposed to happen. I mean, savages flying planes to the buildings and tearing them down and killing thousands of people. That's impossible, right? Until it happens, and it happened right before our eyes, and we couldn't deal with it. Honestly, we the quickest thing we couldn't wait to mourn the loss of Americans, not avenge them. We couldn't wait to mourn them as a culture. I was like, fuck that. I mean, this is unacceptable. We have to respond to this. So, I, as an artist, I'm not a soldier, but I said, okay, I'm going to respond to this. Am I going to do away with this, restaurant story that I've been doing, or am I going to? I said, you know what, finish this, and then as I'm working on that, I'll try to figure out how I'm going to respond, because I knew I would respond to the atrocity, and I actually believe that I would have competition in that. Right, Americans are going to go nuts, and we're going to have these superheroes who take on jihad at least. Yeah, no, it didn't happen. And it was actually a little shocked. Maybe I was naive. I don't know. But I finished Table for One. I was nominated for an Eisner, also for That's for sure. America's much weaker now, even back then. And back then we were weak. God damn it, we were weak. Because the newscasters couldn't wait to say Islam means peace. Bush couldn't wait to say Islam means peace. And it infuriated me. It absolutely infuriated me. So I said, because he crippled our war effort by saying that. He didn't have to say anything about Islam. You don't know shit about Islam, so don't say anything about Islam. Just defend America and wipe out this enemy. That's all you have to do as a commander-in-chief. You don't have to be the intellectual in chief, and sure as hell couldn't be the intellectual in chief.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that happens, and then I finish it, and Alex Toth, I sent him a Xerox copy of Table for One. He sent me a postcard, this incredible postcard, beautifully written in his handwriting. He praised the book, loved it, blew me away. I was nominated for, again, the Eisner. I was nominated for the Russ Manning Most Promising Newcomer. And I had a foothold in the business, in the industry at that point. I even got, interest from some studios to adapt that, which I was a little surprised about. It was a producer from the Shield TV show with Michael Chiklis, if you remember. It was an LA cop.
Yeah.
It's a great show. And he wanted to adapt, and I was like, sure. I mean, I didn't see the appeal for a TV show for a comic book that takes place one night in a restaurant. But hey, that's his thing if he's interested. And then I started to send Pigman out there, and the first way I did that was create my blog, which I was drawing images of Pigman, just having images like poster images. Yeah, Bob, you can buy it at boschfawstin.com. There's a 3-issue package deal or individual issues. I have trading cards, Muhammad trading cards, Pigman trading cards, posters that will prints. You can get my first comic. You can get also books that I have. It's called Peaceful Death Threats. It's all the best, quote unquote, death threats I've gotten from Muslims in these 100-page books where I draw new Muhammad cartoons.
Can you imagine that, Wizard? Can you imagine? He has so many death threats that he's able to compile just the best ones, not all of them, but just the best ones.
I have 2 volumes so far. I could do 3 or 4 more. Literally thousands. And it's strange because I've always gotten them. I've been drawing Muhammad for 19 years. After the Danish cartoonists were threatened with death, I was like, what? You're going to threaten people over cartoons? What am I going to do? I'm going to draw Muhammad. And growing up, being raised Muslim, there was no I didn't know about the prohibition about drawing Muhammad. Never heard of it. And looking back, after I studied it, the Shiite Muslims were drawing Muhammad for centuries. So it was more, I think, a post 9/11 flex for Muslims to say, you know what, you can't draw Muhammad now. You can't do this. You can't do that. And that's really what it came down to. It wasn't this pure 100% prohibition against drawing him. It's them flexing their muscles. And Charlie Hebdo, I'm going all over the place, guys. Sorry about that.
Fine.
So Pigman, let me go back. Table for One, and then Pigman, and I basically debuted Pigman in a sheet. It was a 2-sided sheet at the San Diego Comic-Con when I was able to go to conventions. I used to have booths in Comic-Con, SPX, the Small Press Expo in Maryland, MoCA, Small Press Convention in New York. And I loved it. I loved interacting with people. I love selling my stuff. I love conventions, and I used to interact with a lot of cartoonists until they realized what I was doing, and they literally, I saw them. I was friends with them, right? They see me at the next convention. I walk up to them, and they literally turn their backs on me and turn around and walk the other way. And I was actually surprised. But looking back, it was like, okay, they're pussies. They don't care about taking on the threat at all, and they're going to completely, pretend that I am to be dismissed as a human being because I'm taking this on. Anyway, so I debuted it, and I remember it was July 5th, 2005 at the San Diego Comic-Con. There was an attack in England that day. I think 50 people were slaughtered on a bus. And
was it the London bombing?
Yes, it was London bombing. And I remember I had that sheet, Pigman. It was Pigman floating in the air and says, when will comics take on jihad? When Pigman flies, like when pigs fly.
Yeah.
People got a kick out of it. And it's so funny looking back. It's like, I don't know. Now it's possible for me to get a booth, first of all, and also to even have that. But at the time, it was still fresh from 9/11. People were still willing to, at least call out the enemy, at least in some capacity. So I did that, and then I was doing a few things, and I collected my all the cartoons I did in my on my blog called Propaganda: Drawing the Line Against Jihad. It was a book about my essays about against Islam and jihad. It was all cartoons about Pigman and his arch nemesis, Super Jihad, and then also the brothers within my story, because it was a certain point where I created Pigman, and I said, okay, I'm gonna have this character. He has pigskin leather, as I always say, to exploit the enemy's bigotry. I was raised Muslim. The pig is considered a disgusting creature who you would come into contact with. So
disgusting and delicious.
Yes, absolutely delicious. I mean, I love bacon. But Muslims are afraid that they're going to lose their shot to get a paradise if they come in contact with pig. So he exploits that as warfare. And even a point where some of them, they hear that he's coming, they start killing themselves, Muslims, jihadists, that is, true believing Muslims. And because that's, again, people say you hate all Muslims. That's bullshit. I have Muslim family members who I love. They have, they're American, they're Americanized, even though they're not crazy about what I do, but they haven't come after me yet. Let me just say that. I'm not in contact with them. I will say that, but they haven't come after me yet. But yeah, so they were human beings who call themselves Muslims. A lot of them are very passive about it. And then there are the true believers who fly planes into buildings, who celebrate atrocities like October 7th, who celebrate 9/11. In the streets of New York and on the rooftops of New Jersey.
I wouldn't even call them true believers, though, because I would just call them straight up psychopaths, right? Because you could believe there's a lot of things in Christianity that you could believe, and I believe in it. I'm, even though I'm non-denominational, right? But at the same time, you go, the religion, the Christianity is about, turn the other cheek, and be nice. Yeah. These fellow man, these are people, these are humans. So these people who are quote unquote the true believers who are like, oh my God, we got to kill the infidels. Like, you're supposed to be the religion of peace, right?
But they are the true believers. And I will say, because when you have the prophet of Islam as a warlord who killed people, and he's the perfect
hooked up with a 9-year-old. So
he did. I mean, she was 6 when he married her, Aisha, and then raped her when she was 9. And they say raped her. Yeah, of course, she's a minor. She's a kid. She don't know anything in terms of the sex. So yeah, he raped her when she was 9. And that's a fact. And, okay, I will say that's a fact, right? And then people say, well, maybe he didn't exist. Maybe he didn't. But what does it matter when a billion people believe he existed? What does that matter? If they believe it to their core. So when I say true believers, I speak from understanding the issue, because again, when the Prophet of Islam is a warlord, killed people, had people, assassinated, executed, and he's the perfect model within Islam, true believers interpret that as, okay, I have to do what he does. And a lot of Muslims don't do that. Good. But it's not because of the religion doesn't want them to do that. Of course it does. But they're human beings first. Muslims are human beings first. Not going to go out and cut their neighbor's head off. But the true believers will. They absolutely will, because in their mind, the only ones who have a shot at getting to paradise are the ones who commit jihad. Those who actually act in the name of Allah to kill the infidels wherever they find them. And then even to the point where they can bring their family members into paradise with them. So when your religion tells you the only way you can get to paradise, guaranteed, is to commit jihad, you're going to have more than you would like. Meaning there are a lot of Muslims who don't do that, of course, but a lot of them do. Far too many do, and also far too many cheerlead them. Far too many cheerlead them. To the point where after the attack on Israel, I don't remember any Muslims out on X at least denouncing it at all. There could have been one or two, here and there, but my God, the entire feed was just them celebrating it, and as if it was a great thing that happened.
Them and leftists celebrating it.
Oh, absolutely, both of them. They were completely in bed with that. So yeah, that's where after the atrocity, I studied Islam, because again, we were very passive, Muslims. We had a Quran in the house, but it was in Arabic. Nobody could read Arabic, so we're very passive. But I will say that even for moderate Muslims, even for us growing up in America, the Jew hatred was hardcore. It was nothing moderate about that. The misogyny was hardcore. Almost every woman in my family was beaten, either by their family, by their father, brothers, or their husbands, and they were arranged marriages. Most of marriages. So even passive Muslims still had this, were taught at least to hate Jews, to treat women like shit, and also.
You hear that, Wizard? Other than the Jew stuff, you're thinking it's a pretty good deal. You get a free wife, and you can smack her around every once in a while.
I know. I respect women too much for that. For them to deal with me.
That's right.
Well, I know it says in the Hadith that basically you could lie, cheat, steal. You could do whatever it takes to trick the non-Muslims and then just fucking kill them.
Yeah,
crazy.
It is. It's called taqiyya, and then kitman. You got all these other, is like 4 or 5 different ways of lying to the infidel. And again, I don't say lightly when I say true believer. I don't. It's the people who take it deadly seriously and who follow the call. It's the call to jihad. To commit atrocities in His name. And again, that's why they can celebrate these atrocities. That you got people jumping from the towers, and you got these Muslims celebrating, throwing candy at each other and shooting guns off in the air as if it's something great happened. In their religion, it is something great because we are evil for not submitting to Islam. And there's also this conceit, with true believing Muslims, where if you aren't Muslim, that means you're defying Islam. You can't be a passive non-Muslim. According to these true believers, you are at direct war with Islam by not submitting to it, and that's these true believers. The problem with passive Muslims is they look at these guys; they have no argument against them. They have no argument against the jihadists. None, no Quranic argument, at least. So after 9/11, I had to figure it out. I said, okay, are these guys true believers, or are these guys are they committed to the ideology? And I found out, yes. I read and reread the Quran, read dozens of books on Islam and Jihad by Robert Spencer, by all these writers, Andrew Boston, hundreds, if not thousands, of articles. I wanted to understand the threat we faced before I took it on, because I knew that if you take this on, you're going to get a lot of heat, and they're going to try to kill you. So I might as well, at least if I go down with the truth on my side completely. I'm not going to go down half-assed, Whereas Miller, he basically did that comic book, Holy Terror, and he went half-assed. He didn't study Islam. He even said in an interview once, he goes, I don't know squat about Islam, but I know everything about, Al-Qaeda. It's like, yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. Al-Qaeda is just one of 140 Islamic terrorist groups. It's the one that hurt us the most, yes. But globally, it's 140 Islamic terrorist groups. So it's the ideology that motivates them, and Miller wasn't willing to go there. And I guess I'll be talking out of school once. When he hated the news, huh? I see.
He meant Jews, but
yeah, I get it. And again, I have no filter when it comes to this stuff. So and sorry, I hope your channel will be fine with it. I just did a live stream, my first live stream last night. It's still up, so I just want to tell you that.
I don't toe the line. My thinking is, if I'm going to get paid, I'm going to get paid for being me, right? If you want me to censor myself, then I don't fucking give me no money. I'm not going to be one of these, where they use it's a pew pew instead of saying gun. He pulled out a pew pew and wait, blam blam. Like, no, I'm just going to fucking say
deleted the guy.
Can't stand that. And also, how about this? How about when cartoonists are murdered for drawing Muhammad, and then you still get shit for saying you're disrespecting them? It's like, excuse me, human beings were slaughtered over cartoons. You can't come to me now and say I'm disrespecting them for drawing cartoons. They slaughtered human beings. That has to be reacted to. It has to be responded to. It has to be with force. Sure, if you can arrest those guys. Whatever.
But anyone even rationalizing it is fucking retarded, because it's like, okay, even if you're like, I am insulting these Muslims by drawing Muhammad, there is no way that the equal reaction would be, okay, we should murder Bosch now. Like,
it's, to me, it's so obscene. It's like, and that's why it would be comical if it wasn't so lethal. It's like these guys murder human beings. They cut the goddamn.
Well, that's what they prey on that, right? Because it's like, they know they murder Bosch. I hate to say that, right? They murder Bosch. Then everyone else is scared because no one wants to be murdered, right? Let's face the facts. I don't want to be murdered.
They want to
toe the line.
Yeah, they want to kill free speech. I mean, literally, that's what they want to do. And they figure if we cut this guy's head off, no one else would do this, right? No, idiots. There are people who still love free speech to the death, literally to the death. I mean, after okay, let me talk about Charlie Hebdo. The Charlie Hebdo, I think 13 of them were just slaughtered, right? The cartoonists, the editors were slaughtered by 2 Muslims in France, January 7th, 2015. Remember that day? Cut me to the core, because again, that's what I do. I draw Muhammad. I oppose Islam. I oppose those who support it. I oppose their friends on the left. And you got these human beings who were slaughtered in the name of Islam. So what do? I drew Muhammad more. And then what happened was that in Garland, Texas, some Muslims had an event called, I think it was Defend the Prophet. I believe that's what it was. It wasn't support free speech. It wasn't support the human beings who were slaughtered. It wasn't a clarion call to defend humanity against these savages. It was to defend their prophet. From what? From goddamn cartoons. So Pamela Geller watches that. She goes, yeah, okay. Her and Robert Spencer said, we're going to have an event at that same place in May to announce the winner of the Muhammad Cartoon Contest. So they had a Muhammad Cartoon Contest. They sent the word out in March. I entered naturally because I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to do this. And I had a leg up on everyone because I was drawing Muhammad for a number of years at that point. And I had a good shot at winning. And I won the People's Choice Award. Breitbart announced it. And then a little before the event, a short time before the event, I was called up and told by Pamela, she goes, I want you to be at the event. I said, did I win? She goes, I can't tell you, but be there. So I figured, okay, I probably won. So I go to Garland, Texas. The first time I see her, she says, you're going to have a big ass check. And I was like, wow, that's damn cool.
I like ass and big ass and a check form.
Yeah, $12,500 for drawing something that I've drawn for free for years. Hell yeah. And so I go there, I do a speech, an acceptance speech. Talk about a few different things. One thing I said, why do we have this kind of security in this place? Because Islam does not mean peace. That's why. And I discussed my Muslim background. And then before I knew it, I'm being interviewed by CNN or one of those rat channels. And they said something, where do you live? I said, America. No, really, where? I said, why the hell would I tell you where I live? I just won this contest. I draw Muhammad. I live in America. And then all of a sudden we got word that there was a shooting right outside the building, and we were taken in the back room. There was a few hundred people there. People try to diminish it. Oh, it's less than, every year it's down to 50 people now. It was a few hundred people. I remember that the whole room was packed. Yeah. We go in the back room, and then some of the security guards said, "Are you the cartoonist?" I said, "Yeah." So they flanked me. I guess they figured I'm still a target at that point. And within a few minutes, I caught word from one of the security guards that the 2 jihadists who came to murder us got their heads blown off. And I think I mentioned on Katie's show or something, I had a fist pump celebration. I was like, yes, because, they intended to slaughter all of us. They intended to kill all of us there. The only ones who died were the scumbags who came to kill us. That's justice. I mean, it's just, a cop did get shot in the ankle, unfortunately. I think he was okay. But they came to murder us. They drove all the way from Arizona to Texas, and they opened fire. And this cop just blew their heads off. And then I found out a few years later that the FBI was there with them, who was in Islamic garb. He drove in a car in front of them. And when they got out of the car to come and kill us, he drove off and he got arrested down the street because they were suspicious of anyone who was around the area. Right. So I found out, the only way I found out was there was a transcript of a court case in North Carolina. It was a third jihadist involved with the attack on us. And that's where it was revealed that there was an FBI agent who was egging them on, telling them to tear up Texas, right? Their original plan was to blow up the Super Bowl in some capacity. And that fell through. So they heard about this contest and said, oh yeah, we're going to go there. But they just didn't realize that those who ran the contest and the event understand this issue. So they had the security up the wazoo. I mean, it was SWAT teams, there were undercover security guards, there were cops, there were, security guards across the entire area. So
this is a crazy ass story. This sounds
it is.
like this was like a movie fucking plot, and they're like, oh, the FBI was involved, and they were like egging them on. They're like,
Yeah. And being
how is this like so small? Like nobody really knows. I bet you, if you ask like 100 people, they probably don't know what happened. And
everyone forgot about it. I won't. I mean, to me, it was a life or death moment, and it was just something that was, extraordinary. And also the fallout was extraordinary because after that, I tweeted out something at a time when I was still on Twitter. I was banned after not long after, but I said, they came to kill us and died for it. Justice. There's a line that Pigman has in my Pigman comic. They came to kill us and died for it. Justice. It became a headline from some newspapers. It became an international news story. It was on Fox News. It was an Indian news. It was, I think, Irish, some stations. I was invited to be on a number of shows. And I remember the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, had listed me right after as a hate group. Me.
A whole group, just you.
Original cartoonists. They had all these quote-unquote hate groups, and they had me there. I was like, I'm a hate group. And if I knew better, I would have sued them because a guy sued them a few years later for a similar thing, and he won $3 million. So I was like, damn. But I just don't think along those lines. I just do my work, and I laughed at it, actually, when I was called hate group. I made a joke about it. I made a cartoon about it.
Put that on a business card.
I mean, yeah, it's hilarious to me. It's like I'm a singular cartoonist. I did this thing, and I'm a hate group, yeah, whatever. But they weren't concerned about the attack on Americans. They weren't concerned about free speech. They were concerned about me spreading my quote unquote hate. And the magazines, I remember some of them were writing about the fact that we brought it on, right? As if we wanted to die. We wanted martyrs. I want to live. I want to draw Muhammad and live. I want to write and draw comic books that have nothing to do with Islamic Jihad as well. But that's just not where I'm at right now, even though I am adapting a novel into a graphic novel that has nothing to do with this, which is a nice break. But anyway, so that happens, and then I was invited on multiple TV shows and Fox News. The first thing I did was Fox News with Greta Van Susteren. She got to be first. And her producer promised me that they would show my cartoon because I said, I want to show my cartoon. That's why you have me on. So show my cartoon, and then I'll talk about it. And I'll show you how it's not obscene. It's a simple cartoon that says, where Muhammad with a sword says, you can't draw me. And I say, as the cartoonist, where I draw my hands on the actual drawing, say, that's why I draw you. It's a simple little thing. It's a simple act of defiance by an American who loves, to be free. You can't draw me. That's why I draw you. So I'm in the middle of the show, and I'm on a remote area, and I couldn't see what was on the screen or not. I assumed they didn't show it, and they refused to show it. And then I got CNN and NBC, ABC, all these channels who asked me to be on. I said, I'll be on if you show my cartoon. If not, I won't be on. It's we can't do that. I said, then I can't be on. It's just, to me, it's ridiculous. Why not show the cartoon? It's not even, again, it doesn't take balls. It just, that's a news story. Show it. Are they going to firebomb your places? They'd love to, but if everyone showed it, if everyone showed balls, they wouldn't have the kind of effect that they have on others. They wouldn't. And now,
the fear dissipates.
It does. I mean, I'm called these extravagant, names and all this stuff, and hero. If most cartoonists weren't pussies, I wouldn't be called a hero. And what should have happened after the Charlie Hebdo massacre is that Marvel, DC, Image, all these comic companies, Dark Horse, should have got together in the name of free speech and say "fuck you" to those who murder cartoonists over cartoons and have a benefit book.
Should have had Captain America punching fucking Muhammad on the cover.
They should have. I mean, they should have. I have a drawing of Pigman punch Muhammad in one of my one of my books. I think it was my first collection of Muhammad cartoons. And again, we have the freedom to do this, and it's seen as this great act of. To me, it's a simple act of defiance. You can't tell us what to draw, what not to draw. You can't do that. We're Americans. We still have free speech. We still honor it. And once you don't honor it, is when you start to lose it. And that's what I was doing. I just I did that. And I turned down a lot of appearances, and I remember some absolutely apex. I turned down a lot of appearances because, again, you can have me on for the cartoons, at least have the decency to show the cartoon. And I remember it was 2015, June, I think a little before Trump announced his running for president. And he was on Megyn Kelly's show, Megyn Kelly was fantastic about the issue. She was talking about it every night. She was on the right issue, on the right side about it. She had a number of guests, and she showed him the cartoon. They wouldn't air my cartoon, but she showed him my cartoon, she showed Trump the cartoon, I guess, under the camera, right? And he was such an asshole about it, Trump. And he said, what are you doing drawing Muhammad? Come on, isn't there something better to draw? Isn't it? He didn't do it only on Megyn Kelly's show. He did it on radio shows. He did it on TV shows. He did it everywhere, like 3 or 4 places. He never condemned our would-be mass murderers who got killed. He condemned us for drawing Muhammad. And, that's one issue about Trump I really, really hate. But I would still vote for him. But the point is that was a major issue, and he was so shitty on it. So she showed him my cartoon. She goes, "It's a simple cartoon about free speech. You can't draw me. That's why I draw you." And he rolled his eyes. I remember that clip. I should share it online at the time. Anyway, so the reaction was pretty crazy. Friends who I thought were my friends weren't my friends anymore when I went to public places. My life got flipped over in a lot of ways. It was my first experience dealing with the FBI. I got death threats for 19 years, but that's when it really spiked. But then it was a few years later. It was 2018. I was invited to be a judge for another Muhammad cartoon contest in the Netherlands. The idea was that I would go to the Netherlands for the first time I ever go to Europe. I would do a speech on free speech, draw Muhammad in the middle of my speech, and then announce the winner that I would pick. I was gung-ho for it. I said, absolutely. But the politician involved, who was Geert Wilders, who's actually an open critic of Islam and jihad, he called me at 3 o'clock in the morning a little before that, and he goes, "Look, we anticipated death threats, we anticipated trouble, but it's so much that it's beyond the capacity of my security to handle it." And I tried to talk him into it. I said, "Look, this is why I do what I do. This is why you do what you do. We shouldn't be cowed by this, And he succumbed to it, unfortunately. And but what happened was I got more death threats than I ever got in my life, and not when I won the contest. It was when I was announced as the judge for this. For some reason, that set them off a little more than winning the contest. I don't know why, but it did. Thousands of death threats. FBI I was in touch with them, and they got a little personal, the death threats. When they get personal, that's when they get serious. That's when I'm in touch with the FBI, because they can threaten to rape me and cut my head off, and as they always do. But once they show pictures of people that know me, that's when it gets serious. And
so you got rape threats. You didn't go online and start crying on Twitter about it?
It's funny. I laughed, actually. I think it was so, and I got so many at a certain point. I was like, what the hell, man? This is a new thing, because I only got death threats, Then it's innovative thing, and rape threats. I was like, rape threats? And how about rape and death threats in one death threat? Meaning, I'm going to rape you, I'm going to cut your head off, and Islam means peace, and don't you forget it.
Well, I thought they were going to rape you again. I was like, oh man, you're going to rape me twice after that.
That's why my book is called, my volumes are called Peaceful Death Threats, because they literally say, I'm going to kill you, and Islam means peace.
Yeah, Matt Barr, who insulted you for just
talking
to me, he got threatened with rape. Riley had told him, I'm going to rape you.
And he took it seriously?
Yeah, he took it seriously and went on. It was like crying and tried to get Ethan. He's like, Ethan, you need to do something about Riley. He threatened to rape me.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Is he that stupid, or because he has a reputation of being stupid? Is he that stupid? Because again,
I think so. I think he has a head wound.
I mean, yeah, I've heard about that. But Riley, he's a troll. I mean, that's his thing, right? And doesn't he know that? Doesn't he recognize that? Doesn't Eric recognize that? I guess not.
Mint told him. Mint literally DM'd him and was like, if you ignore Riley, he'll go away. He'll get tired. Right. Tucker himself out. And if you've ever seen Riley's porn, he's not even big enough to rape anybody.
I mean, look,
he's a little guy.
He's not a threat. They know that. Eric knows that. It's so pathetic. I mean, when these guys say, "Hey, Jim," when these guys say, the difference for me is that when these guys say they want to kill me, they do want to kill me. They try to kill me. I survived that one on the luck of a cop who got a shut off before they killed him, because if they got through him, who knows? I mean, who knows what would happen? And the SWAT team actually left with Geert Wilders at that point. So, we were not as secure at that point. But anyway, that's a whole different thing. But then, I got my Pigman comic book. It was me post 9/11 thinking about what to do. I had my comic book, and then Pigman comes, and again, he's the ultimate hero against jihad. He's the ultimate. To them, they consider him a terrorist. Because he terrorized them to the point where he goes and they start to kill themselves when they hear that they's coming in their hideouts, in their caves. They start shooting themselves, and the guy who warns them goes, "It's forbidden to commit suicide in Islam. Stop. So this one moment where Pigman's coming, so they say, "Okay, I have an idea." So they get in a circle, 5 guys, and they put a gun to each of their heads, right? 5, 4, 3. So we're not committing suicide directly. We're killing each other. So they shoot each other's brains out. And the Pigman walks up and he starts, he snorts. He goes, "Come on, guys." He goes, "You're killing me here." And then he tells one of the guys who survived the shot to the head. The guy says, and he goes, "You guys try to blow your head off." He goes, "How can you do that when you have no brains?" He roasts them as he walks up, and the guy says, "I'm an American." He goes, "American?" He goes, "You're not American." He goes, "You kill America. You murder Americans. That's why you're dead." So he puts his hand over his face and goes to the next scene. He's basically he's definitely a power fantasy for me. And people say, "What is he, a power fantasy?" Yeah, I'll definitely cop to it. He's what I would love to have done to those savages after they flew planes into towers. Yes.
You got to do like a Wile E. Coyote one where they like have like a Rube Goldberg machine of like trying to like, it's not really suicide if I hit this and then the domino moves over, like shit's falling.
I mean, it's to me, it's comical. Again, these guys are so ludicrous and so stupid. The only thing they have for them is that they make people afraid to mock them because they're going to, because they threaten to kill them. But the fact of them threatening to murder someone over cartoons is so stupid. It's like, I can't take you guys seriously. The only thing I'll take seriously is the fact that you might try to murder me. Okay, outside of that. And that's why I think Muhammad began to kill people, is because, the locals were laughing at him as a prophet. The Jews, the Christians, he tried to convert them. They were laughing at him. They mocked him. And he figured, okay, how about if I start killing these guys? They don't start taking me seriously. So he wanted to kill the laughter. That's what he did. That's the only reason why he started murdering, because they couldn't stop laughing at him. He assumed, he told them, "I'm the final prophet. I'm the real prophet." Jesus was a Muslim. Moses was a Muslim. And now I'm the final, I'm the final prophet. That's a conceit of Islam also. They tell Christians and Jews that their prophets were Muslim, and that Christians and Jews hid that from Christians and Jews. They hid that truth from them.
It sounds like the black Israelites, where they say everyone was black. Yes, everyone was black. Einstein was black.
Right.
You've been hiding the real history has been hidden.
And even further than that, the other conceit is the fact that me, you, everyone here, everyone watching, we were all born Muslim, and we were discouraged from admitting it, from facing the reality of it, from submitting to our true, nature as slaves to Allah. That's another conceit. It's such a aggressive, nasty religion. It's like it's not even the fact that they try to kill you, but they even reading the Quran. It's very nasty to you if you're reading it. If you're a non-Muslim, it's such a chore to get through. But I had to understand it because I wanted to understand the enemy, or else I couldn't really write the kind of book I want to write, because in it I deal with the Islamic enemy to the point where it was first about the Pigman comic book against jihad. And then I said, that's not enough for me. I love superheroes, but I want a little more meat. I want a little more something. So I said, okay, how about if I make a cartoonist within the comic book who writes and draws the comic book Pigman within the comic? So it's 2 comic books within one, right? The realistic story and then the comic book. And it's a Muslim. This is a self-insert, absolutely. And I will say for this reason mainly, because you look at me, would you say, "Oh, this guy's Muslim," or would you ever assume that I was ever Muslim? A lot of people, no, they wouldn't have thought that. But
I think you're like a golfer or something.
Yeah, I mean, Muslims. I never even played golf, but I hear you. That's the thing. I don't appear to look like anyone who ever was Muslim, but I have, blue-eyed, blonde hair, Muslim cousins. The Turks are not Arabs. Albanians not, Arabs not black. So it's about ideology through and through, and that's why I figured, I'm going to use my look and put it in the book, and have the twin brothers. And my idea was that I said, okay, if I split myself in 2, a born again Muslim, which is what the enemy becomes in there, and a recovered Muslim, and have them go at it, have their own battle, and then have the Pigman or Super Jihad thing echo that story. It's just a more extreme version of it. So, and just on a visual level, like one of the brothers he has blue eyes, so they're twins, but one has blue eyes, one has green eyes, and just on a visual level, he's red, white, and blue. the one brother. The other brother has green eyes. It's Muhammad's his favorite color, green. It's a color of Islam. The color of Islam is green, and that's why in my Pigman comic book, whenever you see the color green around, there's a little danger, a little trouble around. Whether someone's wearing it, whether the sky is green, even a certain thing. So that's the bad color within my story. Even though I love the color green, but it's just that it's his favorite color. So and yours, and I'm actually wearing green right now. What am I drawing?
Yeah, he says, what's Bosch drawing now?
I am adapting a novel. I can't announce it exactly. It's the longest thing I've done. It's a few hundred pages. It'll be 350, I believe, and 350 pages. And it's a book that I've read 20 years ago, longer than that. A book that I love, and I got an opportunity to adapt it. And I'm writing, penciling, inking, lettering, coloring it, doing the works. And it's a little different than my first graphic novel, Table for One, and the Pigman story. It's also a taller book. I requested for the publishers. So I said, can we make this taller? Because it's something about the story that I think deserves that. I think it earns it. And they said, cool. So that's what I'm doing. I will announce it at a certain point. I'm
not going to spoil it for all of you. Bosch is drawing the Kama Sutra. Let you guys know what it is.
God damn it. You got it.
Karana Sutra.
A lot of research for that, a lot of research, so. But yeah, it's something that I've dreamed of doing for years, and I'm doing it. So it's again, it's a nice break from this, but I'm not bitching about what I do. I love what I do. I love even drawing Muhammad. I think it's something that I made my bones on in a lot of ways. I even had this one article, it's called the Draw Muhammad Challenge. All those challenges we saw over the years, the Ice Bucket Challenge, all that bullshit. I had a Draw Muhammad Challenge. So I challenged all my fellow cartoonists. I said, hey, and I wrote an entire long article. I drew me drawing Muhammad. And I even challenged Frank Miller. I said, hey, Frank, you talk a big game about free speech from the 80s till 2005, and you stopped cold. Why'd you stop cold in 2005? Because that's when the Muhammad cartoonists were threatened with murder. And he stopped cold about talking about free speech. He really did. And I call him on that because I used to love him as a cartoonist. I mean he was one of my heroes, and then he does a half-assed effort with Holy Terror, which pissed me off because I'm like, again, you got to take this on, you got to take it on all the way. And as I mentioned, I might be talking out of school, but I'll say it anyway. I was in touch with his girlfriend, and we were supposed to have dinner with him, and he never showed up. It was 2 dinners that we had with me and my girlfriend at the time. And his girlfriend, and we were together, and he was supposed to come, and she basically outed him by saying that he didn't think he went far enough. And that's an understatement, because again, take it on, absolutely good, but there's nothing in there about Islam, nothing in there about the ideology, nothing in there about the wider threat, the global threat, the global jihad. And she loved Pigman, and she even told me that she told Frank about it, and I don't think he was crazy about that. So maybe when he met me, he was like, my girlfriend loves your comic. She thinks I went half-assed on this. So who knows? Maybe that was why he wasn't
jealous. She was looking at you. She was like, look at the real man, Frank. Look what you could have been.
Maybe as simple as that. And again, I don't enjoy seeing heroes brought down, but that's self-inflicted on his part.
Women like danger. She's like, we could have been getting death threats. I'm getting excited just
thinking. I imagine he got them. But again, if you know you're doing something, you're going to get death threats, go all the way. Earn those death threats. Don't go half-assed, because they're not going to come half-assed to you. They still want to cut his head off, probably. But it's unfortunate for Frank, because he was, canceled from an event in England at a comic convention, I think in London, because some Muslim bitch and moaned about it. And ever since then, he's gone soft. He's go after the left. Remember when he went after the Occupy Wall Street? Right. Called them losers and lowlifes and all that. Good, Frank. Awesome. Good. I drew a cartoon about him just in his honor about that. And then he takes on jihad. I'm like, yeah, half-assed, but still, he took it on. Good. And then he comes out the last few years. Yeah, I wasn't thinking at the time. I don't know what I was thinking. I was drunk. Who knows? It's like, come on, man. Just stand by it at least. Please, just stand by it. And then he does stand by it in another interview. It's like, okay, which one is it, Frank? He goes, yeah, I stand by all the stuff I've done. It's like, okay. I think the guy's got problems. I think he has a movie called American Genius, which I would never, I'd be embarrassed to be associated with a movie about me called American Genius. I'd say, you know what, get that title off. Just call it Frank Miller Cartoonist or something like that. But anyway, he accepted those perimeters of the movie, right? But I hear that's still pretty good. And I hear that he does talk about his substance abuse, which he never talked about publicly before. So clearly he was going through some stuff. I get it. But when you talk a good game about free speech, until Muhammad cartoons, you never were for free speech. You were talking until the moment of truth came, and that's bullshit. So yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with him. I still love his stuff to this day. And I have the, oversized hardcover editions of the artist editions of Dark Knight Returns, Daredevil Born Again. I think they're great. Yeah, I think the Sin City one I have as well. It's really, and he draws an overly large paper sheets. Yeah. And the guy was an all-time great, and he still is. And the last great thing he did, I think, was 300. That's his last rock-solid work, where he put in the work, he put in all the research, got it done. Ever since then, he's not, I don't know, pretty forgettable stuff. Even though I think the third Dark Knight series is better than the second one. The second was, I don't know, man, a bad piece of work, just a bad piece of work. Anyway, guys, so talk all about this. Any other questions about anything? You guys tell me about, what comics you love and stuff. So, tell me.
Before we let Wizard just drone on and on, he never shuts up, this damn Wizard. Do you have that original, the winning Muhammad cartoon still?
I don't. My life, as I said, it was 2015. My life was flipped over. What my life was then and a year after was not the same. And by that, I mean, the people around my life, I don't get personal. I don't talk about where I am or who I'm with. But let's just say I had a family, and then I didn't. And there's a price to pay for it. And I knew going in that would be the case. And but I figured, someone who's with me knows that as well. So anyway, my life is different. So I had to make a few decisions. I said, okay, there was interest, people who did want to buy it. I didn't want to sell it at a certain point. I said, no, I want to keep this. But circumstances being what they are, I think it was better for me to do that. So I did sell it. I did end up selling it. But I have I have a larger version of it in canvas over my art table, above my art table. I have it there. So yeah, I definitely sold that one. So I made basically, over $20,000 for that one piece, meaning for the original and then the sale of the actual original art. So yeah, good question, because no one ever asked me that actually. Yeah, it's I was going to keep it, and at a certain point I say, you know what? I'm not too precious about my original art. That happens to be the most famous thing I ever did. People know that cartoon more than they know me. People know Pigman more than they know me. But it's something about that piece is it became I don't know. It became something that people wanted, and there was interest for it. So definitely I ended up selling it. But yeah, again, I'm not pressured by my art. I sell my original art, and anyone who wants to check out my store, I have that as well. Pigman art, my first graphic novel. I have thousands of cartoons that I did, political cartoons for Front Page Magazine. I have that as well. So yeah.
If it was a different time, you'd be selling NFTs of the original Muhammad.
I did make an NFT of Muhammad once. I definitely did. It was him looking over his back. I said, draw me. It was a big sheet of paper someone put on his back, draw me. He said, kick me. I did have that. So yeah, I have the graphic novel. I have Prop Piganda, my first print thing of Pigman. I have my Pigman comic books, and I have 7 other books as well. My collections of my Muhammad cartoons, the Peaceful Death Threats books I mentioned, and also another book called it's Islam Bitches. It's basically about non-Muslims who kiss Islam's ass across the centuries, from 200, 300 years ago till now. And I take each of their quotes, put it on the cartoon, have them say it dressed in Islamic garb. And I have Muhammad pimps. It's Muhammad dressed like a 70s pimp with high heels, with a cane, pointing at his bitches, and also acknowledging the fact that I'm making him say this, and he hates me for it. He goes, the evil Fawstins make me say this, or else I wouldn't say this. So he's roasting them, calling them out for their kissing Islam's ass. And on the back cover, it's him in full, pimp suit, telling Islamophiles, hey guys, if you love Islam so much, why aren't you Muslim? And that's a great question. And that's why I always ask people who kiss Islam's ass, why aren't you Muslim? If Islam's so great, you praise it more than your own religion. Why haven't you submitted? So that's no factor. And then I also have Muhammad trading cards. It's listed on there that the rarest trading cards in history. It's true, they are, because that's a fact, and no one else has ever done them. I have about 10 of them, I believe, 12 of them. I have Pigman trading cards. I have over 100 prints. And again, you could all check them out at boschfawstin.com if you're interested. I got a lot of work there. I have T-shirts at my Teespring store about free speech. I have my Muhammad cartoon on a T-shirt, which I don't believe they nuked yet, which I'm surprised. I've had it there for a number of years. A number of people got those shirts. So yeah, guys, comic books.
So we got a question from the chat. It's a little loaded, but
please,
we don't shy away. It says, can we get into how Bosch is into drawing Obama as a gay Muslim? Is he doing that to get right-wing customers or just a bullshitter?
Well, you be the judge of that. I put my life on the line again and again, even after they almost got me. So, and I have drawn Muhammad. I have drawn Obama as a gay guy. You know the Hope cover. So the Hope poster, I put homo. At one time with pink, and he was also quote unquote the first gay president. Remember that on Newsweek magazine, the first gay president, and he came out. One of his biographers revealed, I think it was last year, that he used to send his girlfriends letters about how he dreams of making love to men. He didn't say it like how he dreams of banging guys, banging dudes, how he dreams of making love to men. So, he probably is gay. So yeah, I've drawn, man, a few hundred cartoons of Obama over the years as well.
Diggington says Obama killed American citizens without trial. I hope he draws Obama getting raped.
I don't go obscene with my art. I don't do that. People always ask me, they even try to pay me, hey, have Muhammad banging a pig. I'm like, that's not my thing. It really isn't. I'll draw him as a transvestite. I'll draw him as black. I'll draw him as midgets. I'll draw him as all these type of things. But just something about that, I can't diminish myself by doing that. I just feel like it's others want to do it. Sure, go do it. I'm just not going to do it. So that's not what I do. I don't get obscene on that level. Even though as I said, I drew him as a pig once. So,
So I got a question about the whole drawing Muhammad thing, because from my understanding, like, you could literally draw anything and just say it's Muhammad, and then it becomes a drawing Muhammad, right?
You can have a blank page. You got a blank page. Say this is a draw Muhammad, or a little dot. Say that's a draw Muhammad. They'll still kill you.
So my question is, when you draw Muhammad, are you drawing a quote unquote accurate Muhammad, or is it just whatever you feel like at the time?
My Muhammad has a Hitler mustache. Always. He has a beard, but he has a Hitler mustache. Again, because growing up as a Muslim,
Isom Knox.
My cousins loving Hitler, loving him. There was one cousin telling me at a mosque we were at. We used to go. We went for some reason we went to the Brooklyn mosque when we lived in the Bronx, but maybe the Brooklyn mosque was, I don't know, better than the Bronx one. Who knows? But we used to go there, and there was I'll say this, and then I'll tell you about the experience at the mosque. One of our cousins saw me, my brother. My brother's blonde and red, and he says, Hitler would have loved you guys. Hitler would have loved you guys. And we were like, what the fuck is he talking about? Because we were born here, raised here, and we understood Hitler was an evil scumbag. And it's like, and you realize at a certain point, oh my God, they love Hitler because he killed Jews. That's why they love him. And it was a very casual evil about it. They're praising this scumbag for being a monster, because he killed Jews. Therefore, he's not just okay. He's great. He's a great man. And when we went to mosque, actually, it was always an Arab imam there, speaking Arabic, doing all the movements, and we had to follow him. If he started dancing, we would have started dancing. We didn't know shit. So he, does the whole Allahu Akbar, and you got some of my cousins farting in there, and you got the imam's look on his face. He's like, because to him, he's an Arab Muslim, right? He's like, these white Muslims, they don't know shit about this religion. They're just taking it all lightly. So there is a racism within Islam as well, because they do look a little lower on those who are not Arab, because Muhammad was Arab. Most of Muslims in the area were. Even blacks did. They look down on. They're absolutely racist against blacks, no doubt about it, and whites. So there's that aspect.
I'm safe because I'm a brown.
Yeah.
Oh, you got a big super chat.
Yeah, I know. I've been trying to circumvent and weave my way into there. But
I know you don't want to do
speaking of Hitler, as someone with a mustache, we all know that when you cut your beard, we all do the little, Charlie Chaplin, just for a couple minutes.
it. I have what is known as the reverse Hitler, as the middle part of my face does not grow hair. So
that's weird.
Yeah,
I
I always draw Muhammad with that. I always draw Muhammad with that. No, I don't. I don't necessarily drink. If I go to events, sometimes I drink. I don't even have anything here actually. But yeah, I'm not being a Muslim about it because in Islam you're not supposed to drink, right? Even though I've known alcoholic Muslims, even though they're betraying the religion. You can't smoke, you can't drink, you can't do anything.
We just do all that, then you jihad, and then you're fine, right?
Yes. No, but that's true. That's true, and that's why people get confused about the 9/11 hijackers. Yeah, but they were in go-go clubs and they were drinking, and yeah, but guys, they're cleansed after that act.
yeah, then they go to heaven with 72 me's.
Yeah, yes, they do. Yes, they do. That's the idea, at least. So yeah, even that thing, it's like there were some translations. They some translator from Germany said it's actually raisins, it's not virgins, And the fact is that Muhammad did promise this, and not only did he promise 72 virgins, he also promised, and it's in the Quran, you got these servants in paradise that are more beautiful than pearls, right? They're males. I think that was Muhammad trying to appeal to the homosexuals in the area at the time. I really believe that because he was trying to get the straights and the gays to commit, jihad. So there's a few points in there where they call them boys as beautiful as pearls, and that's what you'll get in paradise as well. So I think he was actually playing both sides to that. So it wasn't just the virgins.
All right, I got to do 7 shots. So
what do you drink?
I got tequila. I got salsa, blue agave.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah, with this
if you start slurring like Flash, what's the name? Flash.
Yellow Flash.
If you start slurring, then I'll be leaving because I just can't stand when people's.
This was 6, needing 5 for the 7th, and then Red put the 5.
No. We had $106. So
Zombie Boy, that's a big one.
Yeah, Zombie Boy's 100, and then we had 6 before that, which is 106, which gives us 7.1.
You guys haven't shown it yet, so But yeah, so any questions, Wizard? About comic books, just ask away.
Yeah, I started drawing for comic books just 4 years ago, and I'm not very good at
You're aware of it. You have a certain standard. Who's your favorite artist, if you don't mind?
Well, I've been trying to draw like Jack Kirby
Love Kirby.
like maybe Ditko, maybe Buscema if I can get there.
Oh man, but
show him some of your art, Wizard.
What a master, John Buscema, absolute master.
What do you mean no? Show him some of your art. Don't.
By the way, you got some people shitting on How to Draw Comics Marvel Way. That's a fantastic book.
I've read it. I have it. I have 2 copies of it. I have the modern print, and then I have one from '82, so it's the second print. It's good. Doesn't give you a whole lot in a lot of ways.
Well, you know what? If you're pretty good, I think it's really good because then you could actually mimic it. You could actually pull it off. But you're right. If it's for a novice, maybe not. But
yeah, like it seemed to be marketed as like for kids back in the 70s of like, here's how you could do it, right?
But the difference is that he was a master, Buscema. You got all these art books, a lot of them suck because the artists suck. It's like, who are you to teach anyone? Whereas Buscema is a tried and true master. I mean, he was basically, after Kirby was gone, he was the guy at Marvel. He was the guy, and he was an extraordinary artist. And the anatomy and the naturalness of his body movements, the gestures, I think second to none when it comes to anatomy and the way the body moves. Where you got John Romita Sr., the most handsome heroes, the most beautiful women. Nobody is better than him. Nobody. Kirby, the power of Kirby. I think the closest comes is Walt Simonson. The power, the impact. John Romita Jr. I love John Romita Jr. It's like he gets a bad rap. I don't know. Maybe you guys don't like him. I love John Romita Jr. I think he's great. I think he's a great storyteller. He's still out there, still doing his stuff. Even though I got to say, I the only comic I buy right now, I think, is Conan from Titan Books with that the guy who's basically he's doing like a cover thing on Buscema. He's trying to draw like Buscema. He's pulling it off beautifully. So. Yeah, I do have that. Yes, I do. Red. I have one of my Muhammad trading cards is with Aisha, and it's Muhammad holding her hand, and I show a large ring with a small ring within it, to show the difference in size. And then on the back, I have the stats of Muhammad, his stats. How many people he killed, how many wives he had, how short he was, tall he was, and then there's always a quote of Muhammad on the back, an actual quote, unlike Frank Miller, who put a wrong quote of Muhammad in his comics. Like, at least get that right, damn it. Because I read it, I said it. Muhammad never said that from my learning. I mean, I read so many books on it. I read too much. I really did. I overdid it, but I wanted to be as honest as I could in telling the story. I wanted to know the enemy.
You got to be accurate.
Yeah, I mean, it's deadly important in my case. It really is. It's like, if they're going to get me, okay. I went down with complete knowledge. I knew this thing. I did as honest job as I could. So yeah, Buscema was great. Anyone else? So you mentioned Kirby, Ditko. Ditko was such a quirky. Such a unique talent. Nobody drew like him. I mean, nobody. Looking at those Spider-Man comics, Kirby was supposed to draw the Spider-Man comic, and he came back with a Captain America type, really heroic looking guy, big guy, and Stan Lee knew that was wrong, so he gave it to Ditko. And Ditko, it's more than a co-creation. I think it's more Ditko than Lee. Lee will, unfortunately, he lied about it. He goes, "Oh, he's my creation." It's like, no, you gave Ditko the name. And Ditko came up to you with the webs and the eyes and the everything. It was far more than a co-creation. But Stan Lee was locked into that myth, which is unfortunate because I love Stan Lee. I love his writing.
Yeah. I plan on doing that to my artists because we're like going like 60-40. And then after he dies, I'm just going to take full credit.
Look, man, if that's a deal, if someone's willing to make that deal, go for it. I mean, that's it. But Stan Lee saying that's just not true. It doesn't matter. Even they did those guys wrong. They really did.
Well, like I said, we have a deal. We basically said whoever dies first, the other guy gets to take full credit.
Funny. So you're making a comic. You did mention it. I think one of the other streams. Yeah. How's it going? How's the process on that? I mean, where are you at in terms of getting it out?
I scripted everything. Everything's scripted. Finbar, who unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know. He's in the army, so he went off and he did some things. He's the artist. He's the main artist. So he just came back. He's settling in. We've been pretending he's dead as a joke. We're like, oh no, Finbar died, but he's not. So he's back. He's gonna finish up. But what it is it's now I'm talking like Eric July. What it is the main story is the Fabulous Frogman. But then we have a backup story, which is a character called Jersey Blue. And I got Liam Gray. He drew that.
Very cool.
So that's all done for the drawing. We just got to letter that and color it. And then TJ Laser, he's drawing. It's a one-page. It's in the style of like the old Tarzan comics.
Is it a anthology, this comic? A few different stories for different characters or creators?
It's not an anthology. Everything's created by me. Everything's I scripted everything. I wrote everything.
Okay, you wrote all the stories. Okay, cool.
And like I said, it's just the main character. The main story is a 26-page Fabulous Frogman. And then I wanted to have like a little backup, so that way every book that we release, you would have like a little tease of what we might, a future comic, a future character. Maybe people like this character. They'll be like, okay,
right. Like the Spider-Man, Amazing Fantasy.
Yeah,
blew up.
Well, funny you say that because the name of the comic is Awesome Amphibian Adventures, because we wanted to be like the old Journey into Mystery.
No doubt. Love those titles. I mean, it's so dramatic. It's so strong. It's it's just fun.
That's what we want to do. We want to do a fun comic throwback to the Golden Silver Age. And like I said, TJ Laser, he's doing it's a caveman comic called Gar. And then I got a guy named John Wong. It's a 1-page fake ad.
Okay.
But that's going to play into something later on with some other characters.
Very cool.
It's something like there's some in jokes in there. Like if you're following the whole Eric July thing, you might, you'll recognize some of the people. But if you even ain't following it, it's still a funny little like throwback to that whole like hostess, like, oh my God, he stole our hostess pies type thing.
Right. So, very, very cool.
But Stray Bean says, can you ask Bosch what his opinion is of the Eric July fans before and then after his recent experience with their unique passion, Sturgis especially?
I mean, I gotta say, I mean, I've known of them. I used to hear about the Rippertards, but I never was in direct contact with them until recently. And they're terrible, man. I mean, they're so dishonest. That's what I really get. More than anything else, stupid, yeah, no doubt, but they're so dishonest in their criticisms of Ethan, of you guys, of all. I mean, they're just, they pretend that it's like they're stuck on this thing, right? They know Isom's shit. They know it. But they have to pretend otherwise. And I think that's why they're so miserable. Because they're like, we know this is shit, but we have to defend it. Why? I don't know why. They have to love it somehow. I don't know. They're bought into this. This is their kind of fandom. I remember as a kid, if a comic sucked, it sucked. If Rob Liefeld drew a comic and it sucked. There was no, I used to have arguments with people. Yeah, he has a lot of energy. I said, yeah, why didn't you put some of that energy into learning how to draw about Rob Liefeld, And I think John Malin has a soft spot for him, or who knows what, but he sucks. And Eric July is the Rob Liefeld of writing comics. I mean, that's the way I see it. He's that bad, where he doesn't know there's no theme, there's nothing. Again, without it looking like a comic, imagine if Rob Liefeld drew Isom. That's what it deserved. Isom deserved Rob Liefeld to draw it. And you guys might be fans of Rob Liefeld. I think he's terrible. I think he sucks. I think when he got into the field, it brought down comics in a way that nothing prior to it did, because it brought non-artists into the field and the standards collapsed. There was they really did. And he sucked. I mean, as a writer, as an artist, I even had a run-in with him recently. He was trying to criticize some art. I said, who are you to criticize any art? I mean, and he said, how much did your comics make? I said, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about art.
Man, it sounds like he's a ripetard, because that's their argument for everything. Like, well, how much did you make? Well, art isn't about how much you made. It's about cultural impact it's making.
Look, I'd love to make a killing. I would. I love money, of course, but that's not the motivation. I want to make as good a comic as I possibly can make. I want to honor what I think is the best artists in history, the ones I've learned from, and get it to look, at a level where I think, okay, this is the best I possibly can do and send it out there. And if I can make some money, awesome. But the idea where, it's and again, if you notice, I think he's going now from saying it's 3.7 million to now he's going to talk about sales, about comic numbers. Like, I think 10,000 copies of, Goody, right? Yeah. So that's what his tactic now. He doesn't want to repeat how much it made or how little it made compared to the other ones. He just talk about the 10,000 copies now, and he couldn't even get there. I think he couldn't get under. I think he just got under 300,000 on the closeout. I believe that's what he was trying to push it. That's bad.
He didn't hit the 10,000 on the closeout, and then he came out with this tweet. Was like, well, just shortly after the closeout, we sold enough comics to hit the 10,000. Like, it's some weird, like, he had to like pretend like he still hit 10,000. Like, even though the closeout was over, like a couple hours later.
And that's also the pretense from Eric to his fans. The pretense that he's good at what he does. The pretense that he loves comics in a real serious way. He doesn't. You could tell in the work. He didn't put in the work. He didn't. He
loves forklifts. He loves warehouses. Warehouse accessories.
He loves couches where heroes sleep on. It's like, even that, I'm like, why is taking a nap here? Get that off the page. Just get it off the page. We don't see our heroes go to the bathroom or sleep unless they wake up, like the Daredevil Born Again, where each issue Matt Murdock is in a bed and then he's in the alleyway and this and that. I get it. There's a good reason for doing that. But not for, you don't have a Daredevil comic where he's lying down on the couch and just, thinking about something. And the motivation is also horrific. There is no motivation. He's called by his sister to find this one girl that he somewhat knows. And then he goes into this club and beats up some guys, punches through their body. It looks like it's blood. but he said it wasn't killing them, and then he goes back because he was disrespected. That's not heroism. You know, it doesn't. It's not reaching for his better self. It's not reaching for, you know, I don't think he understands heroes. I mean, clearly it doesn't. And then you got the names also, you know, Isom, Yaira, Shungite, Gooding. And you have this new one, Sure. It's spelled like Seorsi.
So we would call her Worcestershire.
Yeah, Worcestershire sauce.
It's an Irish name.
Right. It means peace or something like that or whatever. I don't know.
It is a hero of peace.
Well, it's stupid because none of his characters, none of his heroes have hero names. They just have people names, right?
They do. And they're not compelling at all. They're just not. I mean, it's like, as I was talking, I think on the Katie's channel about the Watchmen, right? Watchmen comic. It's tough because I got a tough problem with Alan Moore and just, you know, politics, but it's a hell of a story. And without Rorschach, though, you take Rorschach out, it collapses. Rorschach is the only core character, and the only hero in there, the only one who's willing to say what he's willing to say, the only one who's willing to do what he has to do. The other ones are always guessing themselves, and Dr. Manhattan's walking around naked like an idiot and just saying nothing. And then you have the comedian, as I mentioned on the show. Anyone who read Watchmen, if you don't want to hear, maybe check out, come back. But it opens up with the killing of the comedian, which is a warped, corrupt version of Captain America, right? He's twisted. He does the good government's bidding, the most horrific things, right? He's right wing, though. He's killed in the first issue. Rorschach is another right wing character. He's killed in the last issue. It's like bookended by the killing of these two right wing characters. And you got the leftist guy who's the hero of the story who ends up killing millions to save, quote unquote, billions. That's who Alan Moore, I think, was pushing. That's his idea. I think he is Ozymandias if he could have the power. He was trying to mock Rorschach. He was trying to mock Ditko and Ayn Rand's philosophy through having a twisted version of Ditko's Mr. A / The Question, and diminishing him. And he couldn't do it because he's still the most kick-ass character in there. He's in that prison, right? And he tells the guys, "I'm not in here with you." He looks at all the criminals in prison. He goes, "You're in here with me." Never compromise, not even in the face of Armageddon. Immortal lines, great lines. Without those lines, without the character, the story collapses. So my point is that you need a compelling character. And if you're going to start a universe, you better make sure that main anchor is compelling. And that's Isom, and it's not compelling. So,
because he wasn't selling comics. He was selling hype. He was selling culture war propaganda.
He was. And remember when he was talking about culture war years ago? Yeah. Where's that now? Now he says, if you thought I was against the woke, we're not anti-woke. Since when, Eric? That was your thing. That's why I got your first comic. Because
it's so funny you say that, because he put out a tweet after the Ripazine and Worcestershire sauce got announced. He put out a tweet. He goes, "She's a redhead, and she's always going to be a redhead," which is a culture war talking point about the redhead.
It is about the gender side, the ginger side. Exactly. So he wants it 10 ways. He's inconsistent.
He wants both.
Yeah, he's not that smart.
And, we have more super chats that ask detracting questions. Yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure your math's wrong, Tony.
My math is never wrong. E = MC hammered. I'm always
because I think you're counting $10 for shots instead of 15.
No, I was counting 15. I did the math. $106. 15 is 7.1 when you divide it. Okay.
Well, because I added up everything,
I got it right here. Look, Red gave a 2, Red gave a 2, Nighty gave a 2, and then Zombie gave 100. That's 106. Then we got a 5 from Red, was 121. Then Stray Beans, which is $7.99 Australian, which is just $5 American, right? And then we got another 5 from Red, and then another 2. I told you, when I drink, I'm better at math than when I'm sober. So you're not gonna get one over on me. And as far as Isom taking a nap, do you think that's crazy, Bosch? I don't know if you read the first Ripazine. Right?
I didn't. No.
Okay, so it's this detective story, quote unquote, right?
Yeah, salvage, right? Salvage.
Yeah, salvage. and he's like, I need to go have a conversation with the guy over at this building, right? To find out. And then he like gets up all dramatic. He's like, all right, he's gonna go kick some ass, right? Like he gets up all dramatic. He's like, he heads out the door, and then the fucking narration box. 3 days later, I'm like, So
No,
he was all like jazzed up, and then 3 days later, he finally makes it to the fucking
but that's
office.
also no urgency, right? Within the
Yeah.
characters either. There's nothing compelling to say to really launch Isom into action, right? From the beginning of the comic. And the cliffhanger is what? He puts on his suit. It's like, okay, I'm supposed to be interested in your next issue? Are you kidding me? I mean, that's the cliffhanger. You have
He
to
did it again with the Ira.
Ugh, I didn't see. I checked out. I got a few of the comics, and that was it. I thought
Yaira's in sweatpants and a sweatshirt for the majority of her comic, except for the last.
she's
page.
not in her super suit.
Nope,
No.
she doesn't get the super suit. The last page from King
Why?
Neptune, from God of the Sea Neptune, despite
Of
being
all
an
people.
alien.
So he actually introduced Neptune in his universe.
Yeah, Neptune. Yeah, it's like where they got it, and despite her being a Viking or an alien that lived with Vikings and converted to maybe Christianity, and then gets her power from Neptune, who Neptune is actually from her planet or something as well.
By the way, did you guys do you think that live action trailer really hurt?
Yes.
I think it did, but how much to the extent? Because I really believe it was $1 million our first day, and it flattened right there. That
I think it hurt it so much more than he could even anticipate, because we were talking about this before, right? When it's like comic book stuff, it was in this bubble, right? It was just the comic book people talking about it. But as soon as you put a live action trailer, people outside were like, "Oh, it's a live action trailer. We can watch it." And it was people roasting it from like outside of the comic bubble
on his own post about it as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. They said
deleted that. They deleted that post.
Of course it did. He goes, "Is this a joke?" Even fans, I guess, Ripverse fans, that hurt him bad, and it was so bad. There's no quality control there. There's no one understands like this is a bad thing. You don't release that. It hurts the comic. No one was there to tell. Everyone was gassing up each other. I guess right before that, right? We made a little mini movie type thing. We could maybe have a series after this. Shooter McGavin. Scat Place.
He's talking about the Saskas.
I don't know of them. I had never read their comics. I know only what I learned through EBS's show and your guys, and I don't know, man. I mean, I don't find them appealing on any level. The work that's their work. That trailer, which is their work. I don't want to ever see anything they do. I really don't. And the best thing about that was the roasting of it. The one guy, young Riffa, did that. Yeah. It was hilarious. And I couldn't find it. I tried to find it the whole day. I guess he took it off, or it was maybe taken off. Maybe they had Average July did a challenge against it. I don't know. Who knows? But I can't see it anymore. It was hilarious. Where that recurring thing, donks for the heads up, sweet dreams chilled. It's so bad. It's so ambitiously bad. It's like, guys, you made the worst possible thing. You didn't just make like a bad. It's like it's impossibly bad. That again, it turned off people. It really did.
I think it was so bad because, and people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't say this. Is wrong." I think he really is trying to hit on one of them sisters. He let that sister make a trailer that was so bad because he was trying to get in his bed. I know, like you go out of your way to impress women, but I would never sink my company with a terrible trailer to impress a woman.
And now, also this identity politics thing. The black guy writes a black character. The white guy writes a white character. Mike, and the girls write all the girl comics, right?
And the girl artist draws the girl too.
Yes, it's like, come on, Eric. You were talking against this shit for years. You can't pretend. It's like the way I see it. Either he was fake then, or he's fake now, but he's fake regardless. It's like Howard Stern. He's fake then, he's fake now. He was always fake.
He was always fake.
He was playing to the crowd 30 years ago. He's playing to the crowd now.
I don't know if you know his history.
I do. Yeah, I used to listen to him years ago.
Well, before all Eric July's right wing stuff, Eric July was super leftist.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know. I thought it was talking about Howard Stern, but yeah, he campaigned for Obama, didn't he? Yeah. You know what? I called him out for that because he said voting is gay. I said, hey man, you voted for the first gay president. What's up? So I put the picture of the Newsweek thing.
Well, it's funny that you say that because we actually found a documentary. It's called Fag Bug, in which Eric July is in it.
You're kidding me.
No.
Did you guys air it? Did you guys air it on your show?
Yeah. We aired the
I gotta
segment
watch
with him in it.
I gotta watch
Because
it.
what it is some lady had a beetle, and I guess she had like a gay pride flag in it, and then supposedly someone had like damaged it and were like, "Go home, fags," right? And so she decided she was gonna, redesign it all rainbow and drive it around the U.S. and take it to 50, colleges and to spread the love, the message that LGBTQ should be accepted, blah blah blah, right? So I guess she goes into Texas where Eric July happens to be at that college. And he like does this post about how he's gonna like kick it in the windows because it says fag bug on it, and we haven't got confirmation. But from listening to the documentary, it sounds like Eric thought it was a negative, like it was against LGBT. Because if you hear fag bug, you're thinking, oh, they must be like, it's a slur, so it must be bad. Right. So I think he thought it was bad. He met with the lady, realized it was pro LGBTQ, and then he's in the thing talking about, oh, I love the fag bug, and him and the lady are like.
He says that on the video.
And then his music is like the back.
Yeah, he let his music for the documentary.
And has someone super chatted this to him? Hey, Eric, what's up with that video? Has anyone
he had quote tweeted it or like shortly after. He said like, oh man, this is a blast from the past, blah blah blah, and he tried to downplay
it. He always tries to downplay stuff, always. But he's, those dance moves he made in 2008. I mean, they're there, right? It's terrible. I don't know what he's doing with that dance move either. It's crazy. But yeah, he's a real character, And again, I had hope. I had hope that he was going to be something worthwhile because the criticism was against all this bullshit, right? All the woke stuff and all the bad comics, right? So it's like, all right, this guy's put his money where his mouth is. Okay, let's give him a chance. And you read it, and you're bored out of your mind. You're bored out of your mind, and it's like, damn, this is not a sincere, honest effort to create a universe. It just isn't. It's not even a sincere, honest effort to create a singular character or a single comic. Meaning, kick ass, make that one comic as good as it possibly can be, and then from that, maybe build a possible potential universe. Not go in there thinking this is a universe. This is a first issue. Because if you do that, it has to be great. Be great, right? Has to be great.
Be great.
Be great. It has to be great, and it's not. It's anti-great. It's so mediocre. It's shocking. It's like, damn, that was really bad, aggressively bad. And it's like, again, if you also, his idea where he's coming to comics late. I mean, he was, I guess, making music, right? Doing some. He said he'd been writing for years. I don't buy that. I really don't. I mean, what's you writing? I don't know. I mean,
he claims. This is his claim, and everyone calls it bullshit, but except for the Rippetards, that he ghost wrote comic books.
What comic books? Which ones?
Yeah, that's what we're like. No, Eric, that's not a thing that happens.
It's not. That doesn't happen. I mean, people can write their own comics. I mean, novels, if not biographies, maybe they have that. Comic books for which comic books anyway? Independent comics or Marvel, DC?
He never said. Red says, why does the Ripperverse have pedos on the payroll? Red, come on.
That word gets thrown around a lot.
That's a loaded question, that. But it's funny because Eric did say that he's so good at writing that if he put Chuck Dixon's name on the book, you would praise it because you just hate him. You don't actually hate the writing.
Did he actually say that?
He said if he switched his name with Chuck Dixon's, they did 2 books. Chuck did a book, he did a book, and he switched the names. But you would praise the book that you thought was Chuck Dixon's. Because,
wow.
You think that's what he did with? Think that's what he did with Gooding?
I think honestly, I read Gooding, and we're gonna review it in depth tomorrow. I honestly think that he just paid Mike Barron a royalty for to use his name. Hey, can I slap your name on a book? Here's a bunch of money. Because it is. When you talk about aggressively bad, it is aggressively bad.
God damn it. It's tough again for Chuck and Mike. I like those guys. They like my stuff also, and it's just like, it is what it is. I mean, average Julyism, right? It is what it is. Yeah. But okay, Ozymandias. Sorry, you mind if I read this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hell's Only says Ozymandias is not a leftist. He is very much capitalist. He is a neoliberal. He represents that world view, that view that the world can be attained by a way of privatization. I mean, you can say that, but he was he's not, to me, he's a leftist, as in human life means shit to him. That's why he can slaughter millions of New Yorkers. That's why. It doesn't matter what his politics are at that point. He's a madman. He's evil. So, leftism doesn't value human life. Islam doesn't value human life. It just doesn't. This is it. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I got a point.
75 mile an hour road just to get a picture. It's not safe for anybody.
The ones that jaw flap and always run their mouth be the main ones that don't know crap about what they saying, they playing, they put their issues on you, but you gonna listen to the fool, but he the one fool.
And that is him singing. And as you can see, it says fag book on it. So again, I think he saw it and he goes, "Oh, that must be bad." So he made tweets about it, and then when he realized it was good,
Guy wrote on Twitter, he actually walked by a while ago, and he said that he wanted to throw the table over and kick out the windows to the car.
Well, she found me on Twitter posting comments about the fag book.
What do you think when you first saw it?
Well, a lot of things, I guess. Mainly while I was here, I knew, I didn't really, I kind of was getting mixed thoughts because I didn't know if it was pro-gay or, anti-gay. Really didn't know. As I looked into it, my views and thoughts kind of changed on it because I'm for a lot of movement. Definitely, if it's something positive, I'm all for movements. And, I can also respect that it's a story behind the fag book.
You don't even know what you're reaching for. Trying to get out of your hole, but you just keep on digging more. Pull yourself up, dust your dish off, keep your chin up, and straighten up or give it up.
I was driving through.
that's his little section.
Yeah, and you know what? One thing, I don't give a shit what people do personally, unless they hurt people. I don't. But I'm not also a guy who goes on stream and say, "Hey, faggot, this is gay, that's gay." I'll talk all that shit and dismiss people on the basis of their sexuality. And also in this video, where I guess that was a while back, but still, he was not saying what he actually meant, and he collapsed right in front of that camera. I guess he goes, "Well, I had a lot of thoughts."
Yeah, he hid his true feelings.
100%.
Yeah. As soon as she pulled up on him, and Eric's light just shut right down.
I mean, that's just, man, it does tell you something about him. And yeah, he was younger, but still, you get an idea about people when they're asked certain questions in certain places. You are who you really are in those spots. And he was lying. I mean, he was basically lying.
C. Kateni says, with the failure of Gooding, when do you think the Rippaverse will fully die and no longer make comics? Eric deserves his fall at this point. We've talked about this before, and I think it all depends, right? Because if Ripascend, if he tricks enough people to get into Ripascend, he'll limp along for a while.
Yeah.
If ISOM 3 comes out, he can trick his audience to go ahead and put some more money into it. So it really depends on things.
Yeah,
true.
I've talked about how I feel like the Rippaverse could exist as something that is only like Eric making a hero and then selling like a T-shirt about him, and then just doing like doing a video like he did with that redhead, just kind of talking about what's happening, and then maybe once a year putting a comic out or something like.
True,
something very cheap,
very different. But do you guys think he'll go as weak as he did with pushing Gooding and then ISOM 3? If he does ISOM 3, do you think he'll push that hard or just let it flop on the website the way he did?
He'll go all out for ISOM 3.
All out.
Yeah,
100%.
It'll be the save like he has.
And it's also something. It tells you something about him. Also, like when EBS has this complaint about him, where over the years he never pushed anyone else. He never promoted people, right? Never. And even in his own company, right? He talks about how good he is with his workers. Isn't that? Hey, man, he paid Mike Barron to do his shitty character, and he wouldn't even push it. He wouldn't even promote it in any capacity. He just dropped it on there, dead. It's like, I mean, and you don't really honor this guy. You don't really love him as a legend. You really don't. I feel bad for Mike about that. I really do.
It's worse than that. Eric July is, I want to say, the most self-centered person I've ever seen. And I'm saying this because he literally has people in his company who have their own comic books, their own things outside of the Rippaverse that he's never, ever promoted.
Ever.
Marcos Rios has his own comic book stuff, never promoted. Carol Brown, his editor and assistant and all that, she has comic book stuff and other stuff He never go, hey, you know what, guys? Carol Brown, he's the editor. She's the editor for us. You all love her at Ripperverse. By the way, she does her own books. You want to pick those up? Here's her website. Never. Mike Barron has stuff outside of Ripperverse. Never promoted it. And when he talked about Chuck Dixon, he goes, legendary Chuck Dixon. You know, he was at that place down the street, that other place that wasn't the Ripperverse. But here's what he's doing here. Like, he wouldn't even say DC's fucking name.
There's something, I don't know. There's a lack of confidence there. There's a lack of respect for those he pretends to respect. I don't know. It's just that, again, he can't bring himself to quite do that. It's like, did he ever promote EBS's comics, if you recall?
I think maybe when EBS was on, EBS would be like, oh, you know, pick up Cyberfrog. But,
right,
you know, they weren't, EBS never worked for him or under, like, his company. He just did a cover for him. So it was like, you know, EBS is not just going to come on and be like talking Ripperverse stuff. He'll be like, he'll promote himself if he has to, right? So
absolutely, but even on that basis, even outside of his company, is what I'm saying. That has he ever promoted anyone else? Although I know that he also tried to big hat this guy, whatever you call that, like you know, when he paid big time him. That one guy who paid a thing, and the guy said he threw it back at him. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I love that. I love that story. Like
Rising.
That's awesome. I respect it big time.
He's promoted, I want to say 2 people that, because he's promoted a couple of people, right? But they've either been like in the Ripperverse or connected to the Ripperverse. Like, it's a Friday Night Tights guy. Like, he promoted Razor Fist, right? Like, he really needs fucking promotion, right?
I know.
The only person that I would see,
the
only person that he's promoted that is outside of the Ripperverse and everything was Kevin Graveau. But again, this is the guy from fucking Underworld. He's written comics. He's a Hollywood guy, and he had his own little like Kickstarter. And it's fucking funny because Kevin Graveau had his own Kickstarter, and Eric July promoted him, had him on the channel. It was like this kind of conversation, 2-hour, 3-hour live stream, and he had no fucking bump. Like the beginning of it, from the beginning to the end. Like, it was like maybe $1,000 that he was able to generate for this guy's fucking campaign.
Did the guy go back on the show? I imagine not. No, probably not. So yeah, there's something that he's allergic to promoting anyone else besides what he's got. And again,
even his own employees.
Exactly. Right. And even Mike's book. I mean, again, he let that drop like a turd. Is like, bro, I mean, you pushed everything as hard as you possibly could. You eke them out to $1 million, right? Each one, even the last few. And then he drops this and it makes $1 million less. I mean, that's just, it's terrible. And it shows a disrespect, the issue of disrespect.
He didn't even do CGC with Mike's book.
No, he didn't. I think he did T-shirt, maybe one T-shirt and something else. I think he was very limited.
For the Ripazine, the magazine, he has a CGC graded magazine.
For a magazine.
$120. There's a $120 version and a $140 version. For an actual Mike Barron book, no CGC grading. Guys, and he had this like weird, like, well, we couldn't really get it to work out with CGC. And then like the next day, it's like, fucking, oh, by the way, you can get a CGC magazine. I gotta get to this event.
Collection, right? Gooding is a collection, whatever that means. Has anyone, have you, I guess, I don't know. What does it mean? I think
he says a collection is just anything that is a product they're going to sell. So he said that they can do merch collections. So no book. They'll just release like a new shirt,
I think what it means,
new hat, like bundle.
I think what he's doing is like, like when you go to Target and they're like, this is the summer collection, right?
Right.
Like,
I think that's
stuff for summer. That's what he's doing. So
I think you're right. But then he also said the other day, he goes, like a real collection of something else. I was like, whoa. So those are fake collections, the one you talked about before? So
yeah. Well, he said real collection because he meant the collection of all the books together.
Right. I think you're right.
So Vabent says, tell me something. How can Eric July do rap and heavy metal? The two don't mix. There's no creativity with dabbling in two genres. I don't know. I'm not a music guy. I like music, but I don't make any music. But I also have to take a shot.
I mean,
you have two.
Yeah, he's bad at both. I mean, from what I've heard, that one, the Ripperverse anthem.
Yeah,
that's bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on that again.
Probably
100%. He made that before, re-released it, and then added some new lines. There's no way.
It's very possible.
No, I was wondering about the CGC thing. I don't know how grading and all that works, but because they didn't get him graded because they didn't get him autographed, right? if Mike
Well,
Barron
you
didn't
don't need
actually
to have them
write it.
autographed. That's the thing. You don't need to have it
Okay.
autographed to have it graded.
I was
You
gonna
can
say,
have
because
it
if he
graded
didn't
without
write
the
it,
autograph.
if he didn't write it, then he's just like a name scribbled onto a paper, right? It means it's worthless.
Well, Chuck Dixon, they had the grading on the Alpha course.
Yeah, but he
So
did.
that's
Like,
what I'm
he
saying.
did
Like,
Alpha Core.
no, he didn't do anything in Alpha Core, Eric.
No, I'm saying Chuck
Chuck
Dixon.
wrote it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but Mike Barron
Oh,
did. Unless you're saying Mike didn't write it, he's like, I don't want to.
No, I'm saying Mike didn't write Goodying, right? Like, that was what. So it's like,
Maybe
you can't
that's
sign
it.
it.
Maybe you're onto something, Wizard. Mike's like, I don't want to sign this because I didn't really write it.
Yeah. Or they didn't pay him to just sit there and scribble it, because, like I said, if they take it to grading, it's like, well, this isn't the writer. This is a guy who we pretend is writing it. And it's like, it's a scribble. It's nothing.
What we know is that we don't know too much because he is so secretive. I mean, he will flat out lie. I mean, he will say things are what they aren't. He'll say that Karita is her name, that she drew that all. She didn't draw that all. Everyone knows it. I mean, we saw the before and after. We saw the faces. We saw her changing her face in the video. I think that EBS when he reviewed the comic, she has different faces throughout the entire thing. There's no consistency. Her ears are bigger, her nose is longer in some parts. She looks prettier in parts, other not so much. So he's willing to lie to his customers, and he always talks about how he defends his workers. Like, defend your customers by giving them some good stuff, man. How about that? How about that? And I don't know if you saw the EBS's video the other day where he broke it down about the Rock. About the Zack Snyder coming on to GG, he's breaking it because I guess that was lost to history for the last few years. Someone recorded or posted it up. Also, that even they weren't willing to defend their audience. From Jeremy, and that's the same disease I think that Eric has. It's like he wants to give his audience shit and defend his workers. It's like your work is not under attack. If you produce shit work, we're going to call you out. It doesn't matter, again, if it's Marvel or DC, if you produce, shit work. It's like when Herb Trimpe, if that's how you pronounce the name, when he tried to go the route of Liefeld, if you remember, I was embarrassed for him. It was an older artist trying to fit in, but it was shameful. He could have done some other work for some other companies. He still had a name at that point, but he went all in on making his art look like, Liefeld. It was terrible. It's a lack of respect, I think, for the audience as well.
Yes, his name is Kato.
Yeah,
it was in the Dokemon card, right? It was on the website.
I believe so. The document card, yeah.
So you can see this poster here.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the lie. I'm waiting for tomorrow when they get their marching orders. You can see this poster. It says Rock. You can't really see it in the scan, but when you have the book, there is words on top here.
Yeah,
which are exactly these words.
I see.
Tune up, turn loud, Rock. So they took this image,
put it right in there.
That is licensed, switched it around, changed the colors because you can see the red is the background now, and the hand is
they
white.
could get in trouble with that also. Technically.
100%.
Yeah.
We have upgraded to 2D assets now.
Yeah. When you call them on stuff, when you go, you can't do this. Like a lot of people don't know this, but you can't reproduce music lyrics in a book or anything. You have to license that because they own the copyright. And so we pointed out, hey, those Dr. Dre lyrics in Alpha Core, that's technically licensed. You can't do that. Like, what are you talking about? Why are you trying to get him in trouble? Like, we're just telling you the truth. Like, fucking, you can't do that. It's like you have to make up fake lyrics or you have to license it from the fucking company.
And what these guys what they don't understand, these ripitards, is like when they come after me, it's like, guys, I've been threatened with rape and murder, and I've been, I haven't said that yet, but it's like nothing you say can get to me. I think.
What if they call you a grifter though, or a tourist?
Or a tourist.
And then it's war. I mean, But it's funny to me, and it is humor. It is humorous at this point. It is, and at a certain point, yeah, they'll get very annoying and boring. But it's just the lack of confidence in what they promote themselves and what they allegedly love. They cannot like Eric July's writing. It's a lie when they say so. It's compelling, and then when they say, "Hey, that one scene, that great scene where Isom's talking to his niece," are you kidding me? I mean, that's a great scene. Because what? It's everyone has some kind of, I don't know, a family member saying something. Is like, that's just, I forgot that scene. I guess talking to a scene to his niece in there, and he has a picture of her. I guess.
I think it's shortly after the couch playing, I believe.
That's right. And I think even one of the GGers, I don't know what it was, but she was like, yeah, that was a good scene. It's like, that's not worth mentioning for a comic book, a superhero comic book, that scene is good. It's not a good scene, first of all. I don't even know what it was. It's an uncle talking to his niece. Okay, what's next? What's going on here? So
well, it could have been a good scene because her dad is missing. Her dad's out of, he's out of the picture. It could have been a good scene. You could have had a good bonding moment. Isom teaching her a lesson that he could have then applied to his own life.
If you give a damn for Isom, it might have worked.
Yeah.
It might have worked. But again, you don't give a damn for him because the writer didn't give a damn for him. So if
the car's the great scene. It's the most famous, yeah. He loves throwing that black guy into the car over and over again.
That iconic scene, he actually refers to it as an iconic
medium.
scene. To who? To who? Iconic. Yeah,
we haven't seen it in video game yet, but in almost all medium, we've seen it.
We need a trading card where it's like a lenticular where you like turn it and you can see him falling.
Yeah, you go back and forth with it. Oh, he's on the car. Oh, he's not. Oh.
And also one thing, we got these iconic superhero scenes, right? We don't see superheroes getting beaten. That's not their iconic scenes. We see them kicking ass. We see Captain America punching Hitler. We don't see Captain America falling on top of
Spider-Man holding up the rubble with the water.
Absolutely.
Right?
Something iconic, something strong. You don't see their character falling and failing, getting their ass kicked, more or less. It's like, that's not a great scene. That's not.
It was iconic for Yaira, the true hero of the Ripple.
Right. Who basically told him after that, get away from me, just stay away, something like that. It's pretty bad, man. But yeah, it's a phenomenon because it's become this industry almost. Like you guys and Ethan with a trash cast it's a mediocrity trying to get into a field that he really didn't belong in, really didn't love. You can tell that by the nature of the comic. Again, you love comics, you're going to bring some love to it. People who love comics will recognize that. I don't think anyone who loves comics can love Isom. I just don't think so. I really don't.
I don't think anyone who loves storytelling can love Isom.
I don't think so either. Really, and it's like, and this idea where we hate him, yeah, whatever. I love comics. That's why I hate the Isom comics. I love comics. That's why.
But it's so funny. So funny though, Bosch, because when people like Eric July or EVS or us would criticize the mainstream or Marvel, DC, that's what Marvel and DC would say. You only hate us because you're this phobe or it is. And then suddenly they took that same talking point and tried to apply it to Eric.
They did. And also, I think even Matt Barr, someone said a black man bad, is like, are you fucking kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
That's our issue with Eric July. We don't give a shit what race he is at all. His comics suck. That's it. It doesn't matter. I don't praise people because they're black, or I don't put them down because they're black. I don't give a shit. It's what they do, what they say. That's it.
Have people fake threatened to sue Bosch a lot?
They have.
He gets death threats. We get sue threats. So it's different.
I've gotten some. I gotten letters from a little more sophisticated Muslims who wrote me that they're going to pay me a bunch of money, offer as much as they possibly can just to stop what you do. And if you don't stop, at the end, maybe we'll go further. But that's the closest I've gotten to. It's not even a lawsuit, but it's them threatening and thinking that I can be bought. And again, you give me $1 billion, I won't. And that's not exactly.
Wake up with a camel's head in his bed.
Wish Eric would do that with us. I'd take it.
Yeah.
If Eric, we got the Rippaverse check, said, hey, non-disparity agreement, sure. I'll take that Isom money.
How about if he tries to give you Rippaverse Comics? Would you take it? The actual company and the warehouse?
Oh, I'd take the company. Yeah, I'd run it better.
Absolutely, run it better and maybe sell it. Have some good creators. And again, I like Chuck, I like Mike, but you're not going to get the best of them. Why? Because the whole idea sucks from the bottom up. It's like they can only do so much.
You're hamstringing them with the structure that he's built.
You are
putting them in this enclosure that they need. They need to be let free. They got to be free range writers. Just let them do what they do.
They have to be. And also, if he was smart, he would have said, "Hey, Chuck, would you be willing to write my flagship character? Would you from the ground up, Isom?" It would have been 10 times better. It just would have. If he gave Chuck that, but he's so stupid. He's like, well, It's my company, so it's my character. I'm going to do it.
Named
You're
after
not
my
allowed-
great grandfather, and
What does that mean? It means something to him. It means nothing to anyone else.
It didn't mean
Yeah.
nothing to him because he didn't even know that it was his. He
No.
never mentioned it before. There was
True.
it just came up because that was his kind of excuse of how he was going to stop this ministry from suing him.
And then
He
you got
doesn't
the
even know that his great grandfather Isom Knox is half white because his slave owner had slept with his mom.
So you know that he don't even know that.
Yeah,
Hilarious. I mean, that's just hilarious. But yeah, and then the Fandom Menace guys, they outed themselves by, first of all, promoting as hard as they did, right? And then when it came out, very tepid. They got super chats. What do you think? It's good, and that's it. And they move on quick,
Yeah.
They were pushing.
Jeremy would get really angry. He'd be like, "Oh, I've never reviewed comics. Why would I review this?" Like Jeremy, because you've been
That's
pushing it.
You pushed it. You pushed it. You're the one who pushed it up to that limit of 3.7. You guys did that. You guys did it off of what? Off of ignorance? Did you guys get a chance to see it, or was it complete fraud? I mean, meaning they read it and said, "What the fuck," and still pushed it. I don't know. But I know that even now, is it true that they're distancing themselves from him, like Nerdrotic and the other guys?
It seems like it, but it's hard to tell because is Eric trying to distance himself because he thinks he's bigger than them? Are they like, "Oh man, this is starting to circle the drain. We need to move
It's
away."
possible.
I'm not in those back rooms. So I don't know.
No, I don't know.
I
I
can
just heard
speculate.
some stuff online. Yeah, you always hear things on these shows, and also X. You hear all these people chatting.
Yeah. Cosmic says, funny how now they're asking us to review a comic. That was RK Outpost. Ryan Cannell, the guy who used Eric July to as a shield. Guys, I'm not racist that I was counting how many good white characters and how many good black characters were in the Batman movie. Because Eric July agrees with me, right?
Right. That's hilarious. But yeah, man, it's just that, look, also, then are you comic fans? I mean, you guys got shows, you talk for hours a lot. Why not review comics you love or talk about comics you love at least? Why not?
They don't love comics. Eric
They
July
won't.
literally, it's so funny, Bosch, because before Riley got into his whole legal kerfuffle, he was going over Eric's old for canon's sake episodes. And I think it was like episode 3. He's talking about Namor. And he goes, Namor the Submariner. And we're like, what?
The submarine.
Yeah, like how could you? And he's saying it with such confidence. Like, how has nobody before that time told you that it's the Submariner? Like, how do you not even recognize Mariner? It's like that is a word. He's not
That's
like
a
a
word.
submarine. He's not like a fucking submarine.
I remember hearing that. It's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, comics you love. Like I think EBS one of the first things he mentioned was the Fantastic Four versus X-Men comic, which was great. If you guys have read that, Chris Claremont, John Bogdanove, if that's how you pronounce it, and Terry Austin. It's a great comic. It's just beautifully done. And it's something about that comic. I don't know. I got a soft spot for it. I think ABS had the same thing. And that's why we, I guess, bonded on something it was online years ago. I said, that is a hell of a comic. And again, the art. So meaning these guys, I don't think I've ever seen them discuss comic books that they love, runs that they loved, artists and writers that they love, and talk about it and discuss it and prove to us that they love comics. But I guess not. I guess
Don't
not.
talk about anything they love because talking about things you love doesn't get you super chance. Saying
Yes.
Marvel's dead and the MCU and Star Wars sucks, that gets
Look,
you money.
Deadpool Wolverine is good. Would they even say that?
I'm
Yeah, they have.
glad you said that because I think it's really fucking. I've heard other people say it was bad. Fuck you, Vito.
It wasn't.
Deadpool Wolverine
Yeah.
is great.
It is.
I don't know what-
It's just,
I don't know what Dick
thoroughly
said, but I
entertaining.
imagine it's similar.
Yeah, thoroughly entertaining. It's like, and it's like this, but they can't. They've been against Disney. Look, Disney has been doing shit, yes, and then they do good stuff. So we have to call it, and this is a
that
quality
was-
movie.
That was my first MCU since Thor: Love and Thunder, which I hated. And then I was like, I'm not watching nothing. But I'm like, I'll keep my eyes on Deadpool. And then as it was coming out, I'm like, yeah, I gotta watch it. And then yeah, it's great. And then
It is.
probably not
It's
gonna watch another one.
fantastic.
Right?
It's got a meta narrative in there,
It does.
the Hollywoodization of movies and how, because the whole idea of letting the universe die slowly, and then Paradox is like, no, let's just kill it off real fast.
Yeah.
That's Disney. They're like, that's the Disney exec who's like, instead of
Absolutely
letting
true.
the Fox universe run its course, we're just gonna kill it now. That
No,
was
man.
the whole like meta narrative, and Dick
Clever.
and Vito didn't get that shit. I'm like, how did you not get the fucking message of the movie?
Yeah,
I think
and,
they
That there's
Sure.
still value in that universe. There's still value in those movies, in those
Absolutely.
properties.
Look, man, those characters are legendary. We know that. It's like you just have to have someone good come in there and take care of business. What's his name? Ryan Reynolds. He has enough pull where he says, "Hey, Marvel, I'm going to mock you. I'm going to mock Disney. I'm going to make a kick-ass movie, and you're going to like it." And they said, "Okay." And it's amazing that he was able to pull it off, to be honest, because it's like you wouldn't think that today's Disney Marvel would allow that, but this is a few years in the making, right? It was greenlit by the former CEO, what was his name before Iger? He was in there for like 11 months. It was greenlit. It was greenlit by him, and supposedly Kevin Feige didn't want it. That's the word. Maybe now he'll pretend that he wanted it because it's such a great success. But it's a thoroughly entertaining comic book movie. It's real to Wolverine. It's true to Wolverine. It's true to Deadpool. It's entertaining, and again, those meta things. You're right, and bringing back even like Wesley Snipes as a Blade. That's just fun. And
doing it in a way that wasn't like these movies sucked and we're gonna laugh at them. It was like hey, these guys paved the way.
Absolutely. And then you got him to finally get his chance to play, Gambit for what last
Channing Tatum. Yeah.
It's fun. It's like it's paying these things off. And then you got the funny interplay between Wolverine and Deadpool, and of course they wouldn't get along naturally. The characters are opposite ends. But Hugh Jackman also, he's played him for 25 years now. It's insane. It's crazy, and he still is jacked up. But yeah, who knows what it takes to get to that point? But the fact is, he took it seriously. I'm playing Wolverine. I gotta look the part. I have to, and it was one of his best performances as Wolverine, which is crazy, because it's like comedy is a Deadpool movie, but he's not the comedy guy. Deadpool's a comedy guy, and it wouldn't work without. I think it wouldn't work as well as did it without having the serious character of Wolverine in there. The deadly serious, the guy who feels terrible.
And even Deadpool having his own like serious motivation of like I want to save my world, and like having all that really helped him a lot.
It did, and it gave a little more oomph to the character, more so than the last two, and they were fun. I mean, the first two, they were fun. They were both. But this is another level, and the only thing that was missing, I guess, is the sexuality of him and his girlfriend, going at it. Maybe that's Disney probably said no. Who knows?
Yeah.
But the situation was the way they wrote it that they're broken up at this point, so it wouldn't have been there anyway. But look, man, it's entertaining. We gotta give them kudos. Hey, and now they're making what they made up to $500, I think $500 million so far within days. Damn. Good for them. Good for them.
I knew right away when I was watching it in the theater. I was like, the one line that stood out. I was like, okay, geeks and gamers are gonna say they like this movie, right? It's when Cassandra sits up from the chair, and then Deadpool goes like, "Oh, that's ableism. The woke mob's not gonna like that." I'm like, they're gonna praise this movie that it's great and that it's the Disney is woken up or anything, right? Like they're gonna I knew it right away. I knew it.
Yeah. The inside jokes and they come so fast that you're gonna miss them. I mean, clearly I miss some jokes. I can't wait to maybe get it, because it's like he's so fast at that. But again, this guy's great at what he does. He brought Deadpool to life in a way that I don't think anyone else could. I just don't think so. I really don't. The speed, the cracks, also the guy takes care of business. He makes sure he looks as heroic as possible on a physical level. And Jackman did the same thing. And I never think this way, but hey, if they want to talk about race, okay, you got two white guys dominating the box office right now, right? I mean, if they want to talk about it this way, right? They want to make all things about gay, black, female, this and that. Is the biggest hit so far since the last, the Spider-Man movie. That's the hugest hit since. And between it, they had all this bullshit, all this terrible stuff. Nope, sorry, nope, not Deadpool. Look, man, the character is what he is. He's, he's.
It was a good movie. I loved it. Like I said, I really don't like Deadpool, but it was.
They
brought it down.
Yeah,
they brought it down to a level that it was entertaining. It wasn't over the top obnoxious with it, like the fourth wall breaking.
No,
it was good enough. And there is a lot of people are missing the character arc. Deadpool wanted to join the Avengers because he was selfish. He wanted to be the hero, and then he learned what it meant to be a hero when he had to save his universe. That's the whole point of the movie.
Jon Favreau brought up that as. Happy he brought up the idea where you want this, but how to say you need this, but how about those in need? And again, I come from a philosophy of Iron Man's philosophy where selfishness is not a bad thing, meaning rational self-interest. That's one thing, but also from the perspective of what he was saying was that you know, he wants it, right? He wants it. That was his thing to fill him up, right?
Yeah.
To fill that black hole, you know, with him. And by the end, I think he understood it. And again, those little things, it's good storytelling. It's just well done, you know. And Wolverine going through what he went through. I wonder where they're going to go with this in terms of the X-Men from this point. Is it going to be Hugh Jackman for the first X-Men movie, or is it a complete reboot?
Well, like they're over there in Deadpool's timeline, like stuff, because they didn't go back to they didn't merge with 616. So, but I think Secret Wars will be the actual.
And you got to put Jackman in there, give him his due in that last, you know, have him with all these actors, and I'm assuming they're all going to come back. If Chris Evans is going to come back for that cameo, I think he'll come back as Cap. And, you know, I want to see him back as Cap. He's such a piece of shit leftist. He really is, Chris Evans, but God damn it, he played
most of them are.
He played a great.
You can't.
He was such a great Cap, though. He was. And it's like, he was so good that it's like you forgot for those 2 hours that he's a piece of shit leftist. It's like, damn. But man, he's really good as Cap. And
that's why I don't read Mark Ruffalo's Twitter. I'm like,
I can't.
Even though he's kind of he's a crappy Hulk, though.
He is. On top of that, the only thing good about him playing the Hulk is that the Hulk looks more. It does have his face. It looks more like an ape, you know, and he has that look about him, which is what the Hulk should have. I mean, that a little shorter nose, longer upper lip, more Cro-Magnon. You know, he has that look, especially the old Kirby Hulk. Again, that Kirby Hulk issue 3 and 4, I believe, where he had that like a gorilla almost, those long arms, hairy chest, and he was not really built. He was big, but he wasn't too defined. You know, he had a little gut, and there's something about that Hulk that just appeals to me. It's so charming in its own way. Where he's roasting Rick Jones, he goes, "Shut up, kid, get out of here," you know. That's the Hulk to me. He's a nasty guy. He's not this Hulk smash type thing with just pure rage, where he's conniving a little. He wants to hurt mankind. I mean, at least that's what he was saying in some of those issues, and that's the Hulk to me. And then when John Byrne came and did the Hulk for those, I guess again those 6 issues, I thought that was great too. And then he just ran quick, went to DC after. Cut it real short because he was going to turn the Green Hulk into the Great Hulk, make it a whole new persona instead of just a coloring mistake that it was originally in the old comics. It was just a coloring mistake. I think the printing mistake, I believe.
They couldn't get the gray to come out right. Yeah.
I also like that Ditko Hulk because of being melodramatic. I remember I'm a huge Hulk fan, right? But obviously I'm not as old. I'm only 43. So when I got into it was already established Hulk smash and everything. And over the years you go back and you're reading the old issues. And I remember reading. I got like one of those like collections that had like the first 10 issues in it. I was like issue 6. The Hulk outsmarts the bad guy. The Hulk, not Bruce Banner. The Hulk outsmarts the Metal Master by having a plastic weapon.
Correct.
And I'm like, it blew my mind. I was like, oh my god, the Hulk.
See, that's
a dummy.
Yeah, I love that version. It was like he was sharper. He was nastier. He was a real brute. Even though he pals around with these guys, even with the Avengers, he's making fun of them while he's with them for only like 2 issues, I think, until they got rid of him or he left, and then he comes back with a Submariner and tries to kick their ass. It's hilarious. But that's the Hulk.
Every other week, he would just show up to try to kick their ass.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Sam. Man, they did it with Peter David, and that was good. That was a good run. That's where McFarlane came in, and he took that idea that Kirby had of that brutish Hulk, with a big forehead and a short nose and a long upper lip, and he expanded and really made it extreme, like almost grotesque. But I liked it. I liked McFarlane's Hulk at that point, where he made him like almost always like hunched over, not as strong as the Green Hulk, but he was sharper. He was smarter. He was more conniving. He was like a criminal. I mean, really was. Yeah. He ends up being, I guess Fix-It is that?
Joe Fix-It.
Yeah.
In Las Vegas, that was cool. That was fun.
The best part of that Joe Fix-It run is when you find out that he starts drinking. Like there's an issue. And it's like almost because he would change during the day and night. That was like how he changes all. So it was almost daytime. He's like he sees the sun coming up and he goes to a fucking liquor store and he just starts pounding all these liquors. You're like, what the hell is he doing? And you find out. Yeah, that Banner would, he would turn into Banner, and then he would get hit with all that liquor that he would just be out.
That's clever writing. It's fun. It's within the character of a Hulk. I don't know if you guys read the Chris Claremont and John Buscema Hulk issue 8 and 9. I believe it was a Wolverine issue 8 and 9 with Mr. Fix-It coming into Madripoor, I believe, and it was just fun. It was real fun between the characters, and John Buscema drawing the Grey Hulk was fantastic. I mean, just again, the way he drew him, he was a master. And again, he gets a lot of I think he gets some crap for being a hack, where he just hacked things out. Hey, the guy was fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, Dale Kilman drew a hell of a Hulk as well. Remember when I think Peter David he connected all the Hulks into one form, where he was smart as hell, but he still had that edge about him. He wasn't exactly Bruce Banner. He was like a complete.
It was supposed to be a combination of all three. It was supposed to have the edge of Joe Fix-It, Banner's mentality, and then the Hulk strength. And then they went and ruined it and said, no, actually, it was a creation of Samson. It wasn't a real personality.
Right.
Like,
it was not based on anything. It was a complete. And also, even those issues with Bill Mantlo and Sal Buscema, when he became smart, when the Hulk became smart, those were great. They really were. And then Jerry Tolaic, I think that's the name, he started inking Sal Buscema and started getting really good. And there, it was 292, something like that, up until the issue 300, where he went to that. Remember when they sent him off to this, what was it called? The Crossroads, if you remember that. Yeah. That was interesting stuff, man. Really good stuff, really entertaining. And the way Sal Buscema drew the Hulk at that point, wow, he was completely mindless. Remember that? There was no Bruce Banner left on him, supposedly dead in there, until they realized it wasn't, you can't. But it was. Sorry.
What I was gonna say was later on, like years later, when they do the whole Planet Hulk and they send them away.
Yeah.
I always go like, that's so lame because they did it earlier. Like you said, they did it earlier when they sent him to the Crossroads. Right. Like, didn't he remember like Hulk? How did you not forget that they've done this to you many times before? Where they just send you away, like.
They figure, let's just do it again. But that was pretty cool, though, the World War Hulk and stuff. That wasn't bad, actually. I like the series also that John Romita Jr. drew, where he came back to Earth and got his revenge.
That was World War Hulk, was when he got his revenge.
And then what's the other one before that? Planet Hulk. Planet Hulk. Yes. Which they alluded to a little in that Thor movie.
Ragnarok, yeah.
And that was...
Watch this. I never was told why Edward Norton disappeared. They got rid of Norton because he wanted too much control over.
Yeah, he was actually writing. He was writing some stuff, but man, he would have been so much better in those Avengers movies than Ruffalo. He really would have. And he's more Bruce Banner than Ruffalo. I mean, and also he can exude intelligence, whereas Ruffalo can't. I mean, I don't.
You know what? I think he wouldn't have let the Hulk be a pussy. He would have been like, no, guys, we can't do this to the Hulk. We can't neuter the Hulk.
It's true. Get his revenge also on Thanos. Thanos kicked his ass like a rag doll. It's like at least get something going in there,
Yeah.
Because Thanos is a badass, no doubt. He's a great
everything post Ragnarok for the Hulk was really like.
It really was, and just got to get rid of this guy. Maybe get a new actor. I hope they do reboot at a certain point because these characters, again, they're gold. They're gold. There's no reason to put them aside to try to fill them up with all these bullshit characters. These. Second generation ones, they suck. They just do. You got to have Steve Rogers Cap. You have to have Tony Stark Cap, Iron Man. You have to have Bruce Banner, Hulk, and all these characters. And again, they're so good, and they just have to stick to what they are, and they'll do wonders. I mean, for those first few Iron Man movies and Captain America movies and Thor movies, at least the Thor 1, Thor, there were moments of Ragnarok I really liked, and then elements I didn't, but. They were really good because they were true to the comics. The first Avenger was good. It was a legitimate good movie. And then you got Winter Soldier, which is, it's not 10 times better, but man, they went even further. Mm-hmm. It was fantastic. The writing, the directing, the seriousness of it, the corrupt government, I think they were influenced by the Snowden thing with the NSA on there. And you could tell they were really good. Those guys are Russo brothers. Whatever people say about them now, they had the best Marvel movies. They had the Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, and then Endgame. I think, and they love Secret Wars. They love that original Secret Wars that Jim Shooter wrote. And I think they're going to bring something to that. I think they're going to.
And they showed with Infinity War and Endgame they can juggle the multiple characters and make it, so that's why it's like I'm excited for.
If we don't get a Beyonder with a Jufro at the end of Secret Wars,
you have to
in the white suit.
No, have that. Look, have Chris Evans even play him. I mean, really, just do it because that's what Beyond's body is. It's Steve Rogers. He duplicated his body and then he put him with a, Jerry curl, like basically with the he had belt bottoms. They weren't bell bottoms; they were belt bottoms. They were really tight. Where Secret Wars 2. I even like the story of Secret Wars 2, even though the art again, Al Milgrom, man, it's tough, man. He had Sal Buscema who was supposed to draw it. I wish he got John M. Jr., but he had Al Milgrom, which diminished the whole thing. But still, the story I liked. He's trying to become a human, right? And he has all these problems, and he becomes involved with criminals. He becomes fat. He loves to eat, and then just burns it off like that with a snap. He tried to become a human, I think, at the end, and they I don't know who.
Doesn't he even box with the thing at one point in that one?
That sounds right, possibly. I think Mephisto was even there. He was scared shit of him. He ran. He was all powerful, and he got pissed at a certain point. He started to take it out on humanity. It's really entertaining. It's really interesting, and again, that Doctor Doom arc that he had in there, and it was Doctor Doom at his most powerful ever. And I love the way Shooter played it because he's like he couldn't contain that power. He couldn't, contain his own humanity, and also when he was killing these people, he was bringing them back to life because he had the power to do that as well. And remember the bolt out of the blue when they decided to fight him?
Yeah.
Things like that is just dramatic. It's fun. It's entertaining, and I think it was born as I think they were making action figures, and they decided to make a story. And Jim Shooter said, "Okay, I'll write the story, make all the superheroes in there, then you'll sell your action figures." It still became a story unto itself, like a good story. And I preferred it to Crisis on Infinite Earths, whatever people think, whatever you guys think. It's like that was too complex. It was too much going on, just way too much. Whereas this was a straightforward superhero story. Superheroes versus bad guys on a planet that this being just brought there. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I can still reread that. With
it's a great fucking.
It is.
You get classic moments. You get Wolverine chops off the Iron Man's arm, and they're like, "What do we do? How do I put it back?" He's like, "Well, just hold it in place. We're gonna hope."
He did, and he was scared as shit. He was like, "Oh!" And he did it, but it was sore as hell. And then you got Spider-Man kicking the X-Men's ass. I know X-Men's fans didn't like that probably, but man, Spider-Man is powerful as hell. We downplay because he looks so small. He's not that tall. He's not that built, but the guy can lift 10 tons. He can jump 40 feet. He's as strong as I don't know how many men they said, but and Spiders, he's powerful, and he has all these skills. And X-Men had no chance, at least the way Shooter wrote it in there. And again, I think Chris Claremont probably didn't like it, and others didn't like it, but I thought it was great. He says, and he was also mocking them as he was doing it, which was pure Spider-Man, because he thought that they were up to no good at the moment because they were, I think, trying to team up with Magneto. Yeah. Because Magneto ended up on the good guy's side, and they were like, "What the hell?" The heroes were confused. He goes, "Hey, man, maybe he ended up here for a reason. Maybe there's something about him." They were having arguments about it, philosophical arguments. And even little things, little moments like when it's James Rhodes underneath the Iron Man suit, right? And Reed Richards is working on his armor to fix it. He goes, "Were you surprised that there was a black man under it?" He goes, "I know there was a man under there." Simple little comment like that. It's great. It's just a great little thing where Reed Richards doesn't give a shit what color it is. He's a hero. He's here with us. That's it. I love that stuff.
Reed would be the type of character that would be like, actually, I've cataloged 109 differences between the races, and I
love Reed also, though. He's a great character, man. He really is. From those early issues that Fantastic Four, those 102 issues that that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby did, to the Byrne ones, and it was Byrne loved Ditko, right? But he never tried to be he loved Kirby, but he never tried to be Kirby in his Fantastic Four. He made Reed real thin. Different looking than Kirby's macho Reed Richards, who's all buff. He made the Human Torch a lot thinner than even I think Kirby drew him and Buscema. It was great. It was just a different way of doing it. But you could tell he loved it. I think that was his real love. I mean, he did the X-Men. He did a great job, of course. But when he did the FF, he wrote it, pencil, inked it for I think 50 or 60 issues, and then I think Jerry Ordway, some other ones came in there. They started inking it. And I remember, I think when the interactions that Byrne had on his message board, he was such a nasty guy. I was like, what an asshole. I think I was a little pissed off at him, and so I discounted the idea that one of those stories Hero. I don't know if you remember that story with the Human Torch, with the kid in there. I don't want to ruin it for you if you haven't. It's really good, and I reread it recently. It's really good, and I think I was trying to say that was the only good issue that he wrote. No, he wrote some really good issues in that entire run. His Doctor Doom issues were great. Silver Surfer, Terrax, all those guys, just good stuff.
Sandman says my favorite arc from Byrne is that Negative Zone arc from the 250s that crossed with Stern Avengers around 230 or 240, something like that.
That was good, and Stern, Stern was great on the Avengers. Remember the Masters of Evil? What a name, the Masters of Evil, right? But man, that was a hell of an arc in there. It was with Hercules and Thor and Captain America, and Jarvis got destroyed. He almost died, and I think they thought he died at one point. And even Hercules got his ass kicked because he came drunk from a bar. And I think what was it? The guys with the crowbar, the wrecking crew. They wrecked. They put him in a hospital. They put Hercules in hospital, and they destroyed a lot of the Avengers Mansion. They destroyed a lot of Captain America stuff, his old stuff and pictures, and he's there on the ground. And he has a tear coming down his eye. He's not wailing, he's not crying, but he's clearly emotionally overwrought because I think with pictures of Bucky and some other stuff that were destroyed, and it was just really, really good. And Roger Stern was a great writer, man. He those Spider-Man issues that he did with Jeremy Jr. fantastic. It's really, really good. I think he wrote Superman for a while as well. They were good from what I remember. But yeah, man, this medium is fantastic. It has a great history. No matter what anyone says, no matter what anyone tries. Oh well, they weren't that good back then. They're better now. It's just not true. It's just not true. There are some.
They were better back then. They were simpler.
They were about heroism. They were about good versus evil. There was no gray shit going on. There was no. Now I do like complex villains sometimes, like Magneto. I like that because where he came from is like you understand to some extent why he does what he does. And when then he ends up joining the X-Men, around issue 200, he became the actual, leader, which is pretty wild, if you're an X-Men fan. But it was like interesting. It's like, all right, and the way they wrote him was really, really good. And then of course you had to go back to being a bad guy with I think Jim Lee in that reboot or whatever they called it. But yeah, those comics, they were great, man. Mark Silvestri was fantastic as well. There's something about him and his style, very natural, very loose. He had almost a Buscema quality in terms of the anatomy, but he was one of the better guys from Image in terms of drawing into classic storytelling and art.
Sandman's talking about the trial of Reed Richards.
That was great too. Fantastic. I mean, and again, it goes, are you saying, I hope you're not saying what I think you're saying, Reed, the Thing. He was like, yeah, we have to save Galactus. He's part of this system in the universe. He plays his purpose here. It's great stuff. And John Byrne really kicked ass on that, I think when he got to Superman, which I loved. I mean, I loved those first issues of Superman. And then when he ends up killing Zod and that whole crew, if you remember, and he shed a tear, he had to take him out because what did they do? They destroyed this entire Earth. I think it was Earth 2 at that point. They destroyed everything on that Earth. So he had no choice. He goes because they were threatening to come to his Earth and do the same thing.
Then we got Zack Snyder's version where he just kills Zod
and yells.
Yeah. Look, man, it's tough because I like Henry Cavill as Superman. I really thought he was I thought he was a great Superman, but he was let down by the writers, let down by the fact that Zack Snyder is who he is. But I think Man of Steel compared to the other ones was a better film because I think he had Christopher Nolan watching over his shoulder. I think he had a little more influence over him. Like Frank Miller with 300. I think Frank Miller was on set of 300 at times. He made an almost direct translation from the comic, even though he put some aliens in there, some creatures that couldn't exist, but whatever. That's Zack Snyder doing his shit. And then you got, Zack Snyder doing this new one, Rebel Moon, which don't give a rat's ass. I don't care at all. He's not that good a filmmaker. I think when he's under control to some extent, he's a lot better. This one, he just went wild, and Netflix let him go wild. I don't know why they let him do that. They probably how much.
It was the hype. It was the same hype with the Ripperverse, right?
True.
Everyone's going to release the Snyder Cut, and so they thought he was like this great filmmaker. Here you go. Here's a bunch of money. Make us a bunch of money, and they just made shitty movies.
And again, I do like his Justice League more than Joss Whedon's, weird thing.
Yeah.
I do. And it's had some elements in there that were good, some moments here and there. But man, he's just not a storyteller. He's not. When you see a story by Zack Snyder, get the hell out. I mean, he's just not a serious storyteller. And again, he can produce some good visuals at times. He definitely can. I love the way Krypton looked in his universe. I really did compared to the old one. And again, it's you get that world and this world. It was really cool. And Russell Crowe playing Jor-El, I thought that was great. I thought that was great. And Michael Shannon as Zod, I thought that was cool too. Thanks, Bob. Just love this medium, man. And that's why, again, my thing when it comes to Every July, it's not just to trash on someone, not just because he's black, not just because he's successful. It's just absolute bullshit copers. Because I love the medium. I love comics. I think it's a great medium. It cannot be matched by anything else, really. It's like, I know I love movies. I love cartoons and all that, and animated movies. Sure, no doubt. But comics, that static image, I don't know. There's something about it. And it's something about you when you read it that way and you recognize, like even Dark Knight Returns, when every so often you got these splash pages of Batman over the city with Robin. You have him fighting Superman. There's something about those images that are more indelible than I think movies. They stick with you more because you can go back right at them and just stare at them for a little while. There's power in that, in that static image, and also controlling the reader in a lot of ways where you can turn that page, have mini cliffhangers at each page turn. That's the ideal that you want. You can't always do that, but that's the ideal you want. Mini cliffhangers and then big ones at the end. And only the best writers can do that. And when you get good writers, you can get great comics.
You taking notes, Wizard?
No, but that's where it starts. The story. Everyone knows that, and that's why I think I really appreciate guys like even Will Eisner, who took the comic book a lot more seriously than his peers. He actually, it's funny. I just mentioned Will Eisner right now. It's the difference between text, movie, and comics. About that, yes, he's fantastic, and he's the kind of guy who his career to me was better than my favorite comic book artist of all time, Alex Toth, who more or less quit. At a certain point, he said, "Yeah, I'm sick of this." And he was calling out comics 40 to 50 years ago, calling them trash then. But he has such high standards. But Will Eisner was the one guy who pushed for bringing the comics into adult form, bringing it into graphic novels, and taking it seriously. There was sometimes some of these artists, like John Buscema, said, I can't wait till I'm done with this, trashing comics, just trashing it. John Romita saying, I was waiting for it to die at any moment, not thinking that there's any future. And while they're all-time greats, they are, Will Eisner was the guy who understood the power of the medium, the power of the static image, the power of telling stories and controlling the images, and also, again, controlling the reader in a lot of ways. Yeah. Look, man, I was nominated for an Eisner, and people say, like the Rippertards, but you didn't win, you're a loser. It's like, yeah, sure. It is a goddamn honor. It is an honor to be nominated for an Eisner, especially at the time it was 2005, where it meant a little more, I believe, because modern comics, I don't go to comic stores. The only comic store I go to is one that has these, every so often I reread all my old stuff and I go there and I'm like, please surprise me, man. Please let me see something worthwhile. And sometimes it does. Sometimes it works. But right now I'm only buying Conan from Titan Comics right now. That's the only regular comic I'm getting. Rereading all my old stuff, getting old comics that I haven't read before. Hey man, I just he will be back, Pigman. He will. I got this one project. It's a big one. I have 3 issues of Pigman. There's the ultimate cliffhanger in issue 3. He's been sitting there for a while because I had one project that was 100 pages and that also went to hell, unfortunately. But it was post Garland attack and having to do with that. But anyway, look, I want to get at least 6 or 7 issues of Pigman in the end. And as I mentioned again, I'll mention it in the end. I want to collect it all, a few hundred pages in a pigskin leather bound hardcover. Whether it's the Pigman's mask and pigskin leather on the cover, is really Muslim proof. Muslims wouldn't want to touch it, and it's fun. It's like I have fun doing this. However brutal the story can get, however evil the villains are, and they are. You have one character there who can mock them. He mocks them when they run from him. He goes, "I thought you guys loved death. Whoa, 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 whoa! Why are you running? You know, you guys love death, right? We love death. You love life." And then they say, "What do you believe in?" He goes, "At least we believe in something. What do you believe?" He goes, "What do I believe in? Truth." Boom, pounds him to death. Truth, justice, the American way. Basically, I was trying to bring that back. Thanks, Peter. Appreciate it. Hey, I've been yapping, guys. Maybe you got something else you want to bounce off of stuff. Whatever, man. You guys.
It's like sitting under the learning tree. I'm just sitting here.
I mean, look,
you're
man,
just like, yeah.
I can go for hours. I love comics. I love this medium. And by the way, Cyberfrog, right? I didn't think much of the idea. I was like, Cyberfrog, I don't know. What does that even mean? It's like an alien thing. And I got it. I love it, man. And that second issue, it's fantastic. I mean, I think it's even better than the first one. And it's because he loves what he's doing. He loves the character, and he can make a frog an appealing hero, and there's an affinity with that I have with Ethan with that, because I have a pretty ugly character. He's a big guy. He has a big gut. He's always unshaven, pig man. He's not the best looking guy. He's not the most, glamorous superhero. And he's brutal. He kills these guys with his bare fists, as he likes to do that personally, up close personal. So there's that affinity that I have with Ethan when it comes to his character. He's not the most attractive character, Cyberfrog, and neither is Pigman. But I do want to do a superhero one day, like a real traditional superhero at a certain point.
See, he's gonna like you, Wizard. You're not the most attractive guy either. You're in good company.
But yeah, Pigman. No, sorry, go on.
I was gonna say I gotta ask this question because you read comics, I read comics. Wizard read I haven't asked Wizard yet, so Wizard's gonna get a new thing here. But when I read comics, I hear the characters in my head.
Yeah.
When you read comics, do you hear the different
Absolutely.
voices?
No doubt. I mean, now we sound crazy, right? We can hear voices, right. But the fact is, you become so immersed in it. When you read Matt Murdock's life falling apart and Born Again, that's some dramatic stuff going on. That's some heavy stuff because you care for this character. And again, if you don't give a damn for the character, what the hell do you care what happens to him? That's why I ice him. If you cared about him and he has a conversation with his niece, like, oh yeah, that's nice. This good character that I like is having a conversation with us, fine. He never got you to the point where you gave a damn about him. You have to care for the character. You have to find a way to make the reader care. However,
if you beat him up, if you ice him up, you beat him down, then he gets a moment with his niece. You go, oh, this is
absolutely
special. Look, he just got his ass kicked. He's been
put him in a hospital. Put him in a real hospital, not just that quick thing where he comes out and he's fine. I mean, make him real.
Have him bruised when he's talking to his
absolutely.
Niece. She hugs him and he's like, oh.
I have that Pigman when his children come to see him and they jump on him. He's like, oh, hey, it's just something. It's like a little more endearing. That this guy has more than what he's doing. He has a family that he wants to go back to. He doesn't want to do this for the rest of his life. He wants to pummel Jihad out of existence and get back home. That's his goal, at least. Yeah.
Peter Watt says that is part of what Eisner was saying. It involves the reader more.
Sure.
That's why I asked, because I did find out recently, like a couple years ago, apparently, supposedly, I don't know if that's true enough. Supposedly, some people can hear voices in that they can't. Like they have no internal monologue. I find it to be so weird.
Yeah.
Some people, it's their own voice. Does
right.
Every person's voice. Yeah, right. If they're remembering something, it's their own voice that they hear the person say and stuff like that.
Ooh.
They can't like create other people's voices
in
their head. So like with me, if I'm reading, like when I read superhero comics, I'm like what they would call a tourist, even though I've been, like I've liked superheroes since I was a kid, but I didn't have a whole lot of comics. It was all the TV shows and the movies and stuff.
Right.
So like reading Batman, it's Kevin Conroy is who I hear.
Right.
Reading Wolverine, it's maybe it's Steve Blue, maybe it's the 90s Wolverine, stuff like that. And so, that's what I do.
It's interesting. It's he was saying something here. Yeah, I hear the in-person voices. So I'll listen to him. Why too? Huh? True. That's also true. Like I guess every July when he writes his stuff. Sorry, guys. I gotta knock that off here. Apologize. So comics. Do you guys have favorite comics? Favorite runs? Favorite creative teams? I mean, do you have any characters? I say Tony the Hulk. Who's your favorite character? Wizard.
My favorite character is Thor. Thor's always been my favorite.
Did you read the Walt Simonson run? From
no.
Oh yeah,
I haven't gotten. I'm still in the.
that's the one to read.
I'm still in the 60s right now. I went all the way back to Journey into Mystery.
Absolutely.
So
It's
I'm
great.
ready. I'm gonna,
He just took it to another level. I think Simonson. He really did. He wrote it and drew it, and then Simonson's doing actually a Thor now, who's like not a zombie, but he has a skull face. It's a dead Thor who came back. Wild. Wild.
And for favorite comics, like I said, I haven't read too many. I really enjoyed the Marvels.
Yeah, with Alex Ross.
I really loved that and how that told the story of like that era from like a person's perspective and how they would see the world.
Yeah.
And then currently Immortal Thor, I enjoy a lot.
Marvels is so good, but Runes is so terrible. Why is Runes so terrible?
Sorry? Immortal Thor, sorry. Is that a current series or is that an older?
Yeah, that's current. That's current. Okay. That's current.
Yeah. Again, I've checked out. Unfortunately, it might still be some good stuff out there, and it's on me because I try to read this stuff, and it's so disappointing. I know that a lot of people don't love it, but there must be still some. Again, the Conan right now is really good. Conan Barbarian.
Yeah.
I'm really.
With Immortal Thor, that's nice is that there's a lot of callbacks to those 60s and 70s. Like there was one of 2 issues ago where he met his grandfather or great grandfather, who was like Buri, that was only in like 1 issue of Thor.
Okay, so they actually expanded.
Yeah, they brought him back, and they basically was like, because it was in 1 issue where Thor was injured, and he was like this like guy that like nursed him back to health or whatever, and then he says to the reader, he just says it to himself that he was his grandfather or whatever. And he's like, "Goodbye, my grandson." That's like the end of that issue. And so then like that was his like only appearance. They finally brought him back, and then they like expanded on his lore that he's like an elder god because in the mythology he's like one of like the first ones that was born from the giant when like the world was when all the creatures were created, in Norse mythology. So they basically went with like he's like this ancient god. There's a lot of like ancient gods that they're working with in Immortal Thor right now. So they're doing that, and they brought him back. He was able to tell Thor like, "Yeah, I'm your grandfather." And
is Thor like Thor in this, or is there some other Thor?
No, it's Thor's Thor Odinson,
awesome.
And he's all father of Asgard, and yeah, it's really good.
Everyone likes Immortal Hulk except for me. I hate what they did to the Hulk with the whole like one below and like all the gamma radiations.
I liked it. Energy. It got a little out of hand, but I did like it initially. And Joe Bennett was really drawing an interesting Hulk. I mean, he really was. He was like a throwback to the old Kirby style again, with that Cro-Magnon, that huge forehead, short nose, long upper lip, and he made him really weird looking. Like he wasn't a muscular, figure. He was just long arms, like an ape. Pretty good stuff. But yeah, near the end, I think I lost some interest in that. But that writer also is such a communist. It's unbelievable. He's such a commie. Al Ewing. I think he's writing Immortal Hulk as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And the covers are done by Alex Ross.
The covers are Alex Ross. Yeah, and then Al Ewing writes Immortal Thor, and then
he is a good writer, no doubt.
Yeah,
I like some of those Immortal Hulk issues.
There's like 1 issue or so where they did a lot of like climate change stuff because he was fighting Roxxon, but then they beat Roxxon, and then it was like they moved on. And like Gaia, Thor's mom, is like did some speech about like how like, oh, they're polluting me and all this and blah blah blah. But like it's still like it's
they should have made her dirty. They should have really like she should be like a whore. Like look at they made the earth dirty, so then like Gaia becomes like a whore. Like,
he'll get his
like,
there, but
when they show her, because he goes to like this cave to meet her, and she's like all like she has like no face, it's just like glowing eyes, and she's like vines and like dirt, and she's like she's not a person, she's like an eldritch creature at this point. Because that's what they play with that. But then I've joked about it before, but in that Roxxon, they basically work with Amora to poison Thor's like character because they use like Norse story magic to corrupt his comic books that exist in the universe to make him like quippy and stupid and with short hair. So they basically make him MCU Thor. And so then there's a point where they have an MCU Thor that's all like stupid, like Ragnarok Thor, and then Thor fights him, and so they like. So
you would recommend this?
Yeah, I would, especially for like old Thor fans.
You turned out Wizard. You're recommending something to Bosch. He's gonna go buy this and read it. And if it's not good, he's gonna kick your ass.
No, Al Ewing is a good writer. He's a legitimate, good writer, and I like
especially if you read Immortal Hulk.
Yeah,
it continues from Immortal Hulk. So
He's
he said that
Chad Hammer.
the way he wrote Immortal Hulk was like the Old Testament. Ewing had said he used like passages from the Old Testament and all that. And so with Immortal Thor, it's the New Testament. Like there's Thor is like Christ in some ways. Like there's an issue where Loki like tempts him 3 times, right? And like there's like stuff like that where it's like but it's also a lot of like Old Norse mythology and like tales from that stuff too.
Did you read the Immortal Hulk?
No, Tony did. I didn't.
Tony, remember the one scene? It was maybe first or second issue where this scientist took the Hulk and he
chopped him up.
Yeah, I mean, completely. He put him in jars. Remember that?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Pretty wild, man. I mean, it's like whoa, and then the Hulk, decides to bust out of there and absorb the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the whole thing was that the Hulk let himself get captured. He knew that he was gonna like chop him up.
He knew he was
it's
immortal.
good. It's good, but it's to me, it's like this is good, but it's not the Hulk. Like
I know what you mean. It's not a, but it was interesting, and the art was interesting also. Joe Bennett, he's a good artist. He really is. I don't know what the hell was going on with Albacore with all those inkers. I mean, like 4 to 5 different inkers. You could tell. It's like, damn, keep that consistency. I wish he penciled linked the entire thing, but he didn't. I think he did that with the Immortal Hulk. But yeah, it was entertaining. I mean, it had its moments, and I liked the fact that he was a throwback Hulk to that old, brutish looking Hulk. I always appreciate, and smart. He was very smart, very again conniving. Always has an agenda. Always something is going on, and he's pissed off. He's not just a mindless Hulk smash. I couldn't stand that for like decades. They had that Hulk smash. It was like. Hulk do this. That's why when the Sal Buscema with Bill Mantlo had the smart Hulk, that was very interesting. They turned him into a hero. Remember that he had a statue, the adamantium statue. Remember that they had, and Thor's hammer crashed against it. It was like a sound wave that smashed, and it's just.
Why like when they send Hulk to what was it, the microverse or the subverse where he meets Jarella? He's They give him intelligence, but he's the Hulk, but he's like normal person intelligence, and he's happy. He's like, oh, look, the Hulk has a wife. He's happy. He's living in this place. And then they just fucking totally take it away from him. Like, now we're just going to ruin it. Like,
completely. And that's why he wanted revenge when he got into that, And again, the Hulk's an interesting character. He had those first 6 issues and that thing. I think it was Tales of Suspense, or what was it? Journey into Mystery?
He had
it was part of the comic.
Strange Tales.
Yeah, okay. Where Ditko took it over for a while. At that point, he was penciling it, and again, it lost that Kirby look. And for me, is as important. Yeah, the writing is all that, but it's as important the look of the character. And the Hulk, to me, they did a pretty good job again in the Avengers movie, in Marvel movies, where making him look like a little, almost with that kind of look that he had, like the old Hulk from the Sal Buscema ones, from the Kirby ones, with a short nose, long upper lip, big forehead. And also he didn't look as muscular. Again, he wasn't like a bodybuilder. He had a little gut in him still. Even in the Avengers movie, he had that. He was a little hair, and he was, I think, a brute, though. I don't think he talked until he became the, Bruce Banner Hulk version in Endgame. Which I guess that's the Hulk now, right? He's from now on. Hulk. Yeah.
It's hard to say because the Eric Bana Hulk doesn't count, but it sort of counts, and he talks once in that movie.
Yeah, he said one word.
Yeah, and I think he talked. Doesn't he talk in the Ed Norton one at the end?
In Ed Norton, he says Hulk smash at the end of the movie.
I think that's what it was. Yeah, he said that.
But otherwise, he growls.
And that Hulk design was a little weird in that Ed Norton one. I don't know what they were going there for. They were trying to make a little Ed Norton face. His face does not work for the Hulk at all. With that long nose. That's the Hulk, man. Man, there's something about the way Kirby, I don't know, a charming as hell monster who is nasty. And even with his boy, even with Rick Jones, always tell him to shut up. And but he was, he was not evil. He wasn't. But he threatened to take down humanity. He never quite did it. But he was also pissed off. He didn't want to let anyone know that he needed them. I think that's how he was with Rick. Even though at a certain point, he actually got Bruce Banner's mind in issue 4 or 5, I think. And then it's so funny. He also turned into the Hulk once, and he had Bruce Banner's head. So he made a mask of the Hulk. You wear that's just quirky stuff, man. But it's fun. It's a great character.
All right. Well, I think we're winding down.
Thanks for having me,
it's
guys.
almost 3 hours. We appreciate you being here. It's a great conversation. We actually talked about comics. Oh my guys, we talked about comics and what we loved and what we enjoyed.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's again, it's a great medium. It's something that deserves a lot more respect than he gets. Never quite has gotten the respect, even though Will Eisner has tried to push up for his entire life. It's still got somewhat respect, but yeah, we can go on. So thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. Good conversation, and yeah, Marvel, Mr. Hyde. Yeah,
or a Thor villain.
Yeah,
that's right.
Tomorrow we'll be back with Wizard and probably TJ Laser, who's probably kicking himself that he didn't get to be on the stream because he was doing business in Carpathia. But yeah, we'll be back. We're gonna review Gooding, do some other stuff, give you some more info on the comic that we're working on.
I'll watch it, man. I'll watch it. Very, very cool.
Anything you want to plug before we leave?
Just check out my YouTube channel. I started to stream. It was my first stream last night, Bosch Fawstin, and my website, boschfawstin.com. Check out all my work. You can get my Pigman comics, my first graphic novel, prints, whatever you want. Thanks for having me again, guys. Really enjoyed this. I really get to talk comics out there as well, so it was fun. And I will check out Immortal Thor. I'll get issue 1, and then I'll see from there.
I've been saying it that because when we watch repertoires, they say oh, Isom #1, it's better than any Marvel comic. I kept saying Immortal Thor, Immortal Thor #1, better than Isom. It's the same price, same page count,
Absolutely.
better than a mile. Especially with the concept of Immortal Thor. With Hulk, it's he's actually immortal. He can come back. With Immortal Thor, it's about him dealing with his immortality. Okay. So there's even a point where he laments how time is different in Asgard. So he'll be in Asgard, and then months pass in days or whatever, and how he's just I never get to mourn these people that are dead. And he talks about all these people who were heroes, were friends of mine, are dead now, and I'm just I gotta just keep going, right? It's so good. It's such a good thing.
Excellent. Sorry, one thing also. Thor, remember that one moment in Infinity War where he was talking to Raccoon, Rocket, and he's lamenting also. He goes, I've been around for what 1,000 years, 1,500 years. He goes, and I've lived for hundreds of years. I've killed 10 times more than that. I mean, it's great stuff. Great dialogue. Great performance by Chris Hemsworth. Fantastic. Great stuff, man. So thanks, guys. Again, appreciate it. Love to talk about this stuff. So thanks.
Anytime you want to come back, door's always open.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. As always, love, peace, booty grease.